All right, welcome back to Harbor Discussions. Been a while. I'm back in here today with the members of Fear of God. A few of them are members of Tugboat, and we have the owner of Pedal Pushers Bike Shop in the house. So we're going to be talking about all three of those things. If each of you could just introduce yourself by your name and then your role in Fear of God and any other bands you're in.
I'm Steve Clamp. I play guitar.
There you go.
I'm Brian Brainbeat Glazer, play drums. I'm also in Tugboat, Butcher's Hill, Joey Nails, and there might be a few more. I lose track.
Might have to get you back in to talk about
Yeah,
Butcher's
the
Hill.
other one. Yeah.
So how did you get the nickname Brain Beat? I saw that on the album.
Oh, it was a long time ago. I can't even remember these days. How long ago it was when we first started. And punk rock back then, you had nicknames, and there was another drummer guy. I think he had a name like I think Bam Bam. I think it was. I can't remember. And I was trying. We were thinking of nicknames, and everybody's my name was Brian anyway. So my parents, I said, "Why do you spell my name with a Y?" And he said, "Well, look with an I, it looks too much like brain." I'm like, "Well, what's wrong with that?" I mean, what are you trying to say? But and then it stuck. Kind of everybody started calling me Brain, like my good friend Steve here, and then we need a Brain Beat, because I play the drums and I do the beats. And
Gotcha.
so,
It's all about the beats.
yeah.
All right.
All right, how you doing? Rod Reddish. I'm the late bloomer. I play bass for Fear of God. And I'm super happy. I love it.
And do you play guitar and
I play guitar and tugboat too.
Tugboat.
Yep.
Yeah.
This
Yeah, he's-
is Fear of God, and it's fun times.
I thought it was you.
I love it.
All right.
And I'm Wayne Glazier, Brian's brother. I'm the lead vocalist. I used to play the guitar in Fear of God. We talk more about that later. So
Yep. And just tell the people where they can find you on social media and then where they can listen to your music.
we're on Bandcamp. So look up Fear of God Baltimore. We have a Facebook, Fear of God Baltimore. Instagram is Fear of God Baltimore, and we have a .com, fearofgodbaltimore.com. So they're the main ones. Mainly Facebook, and it looks like Instagram.
Gotcha.
Just look us up as Fear of God Baltimore, and hopefully you'll find us.
So just out of curiosity, right? How exactly do you go about getting your own website?
How did I go about that? I just heard of GoDaddy. Remember GoDaddy? Went to GoDaddy.com and made a .com out of that. So,
Okay.
But with that, with the .com, then people actually have to go to that. Whereas in Facebook and Instagram, of course, it gets out more because
Yeah.
that way it's more people can follow you more that way, easier than a .com where you have to go to it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep.
All right. So personal background, real quick. What parts of Maryland did everyone grow up in?
Believe it or not, well, Steve, Brian, myself, we all grew up in Arbutus, Maryland.
Okay.
And that's where we started out, in Arbutus, Maryland. Little town in Arbutus, Maryland.
Baltimore County. If you don't know
Lansdowne.
that.
Gotcha. I was gonna say I don't know if I've
Next
even heard of
Baltimore
that
County,
one.
Right next to Catonsville.
Lansdowne.
Okay.
Between Catonsville and Haleford.
Yeah.
Pretty
Rain
much
and I
relay.
went to school together.
Yes, it's
All the way from
pretty much
kindergarten.
kindergarten. Yep.
Gotcha. You grew up in Severna Park, right?
Smart Park, yep. Still
Gotcha.
growing up there.
So you said you've known each other since you were
Kindergarten.
kids? Kindergarten.
Yeah. A long journey.
Nice. And then how would you describe your upbringing in these areas?
Normal. Just
Yeah, normal middle class.
Yeah.
lower middle class.
Yeah.
Was there a lot to do in these areas, or is it?
No, there wasn't no computers. There wasn't any.
No cell phones,
it was,
computers.
I think Atari Pong. I think.
Yeah,
so
So
we,
at the railroad tracks.
Yeah,
we did.
and you got to remember too, when we first started out, we were all in high school. When we started out as Fear of God, we weren't Fear of God. We started out as Jerry's Kids. That was the band. We were just a bunch of kids in high school. We were friends. We all listened to like the Sex Pistols, the Dead Kennedys, Millions of Dead Cops, all these punk rock bands, Bad Brains, Black Flag, all these bands, back then in the 80s. So then, like 81, we said, what are we going to name our band? We named it Jerry's Kids, okay? Because we felt like we were handicapped. Because back in the day, you got to remember, back in the 80s, if you wore leather jackets, if you wore red hair, if you listened to that kind of music, you were like, oh my God, you were shunned upon. It's
Right.
like, but now it's
Comes
like,
those punk rockers.
yeah, there's those punk rockers again.
Yep,
You know what I'm saying?
those
But now,
punk rockers.
yeah, now it's like nothing.
They're
It's
ready to
like,
cause trouble, but
yeah,
they're causing trouble with us.
you were troublemakers at the time. Social media didn't exist. Facebook, computers, cell phones, none of this existed.
Beepers didn't exist.
Yeah, beepers didn't exist. So we decided let's form a band, our own punk rock band,
Rotary phones.
and we were all about making our own music. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And we said we'll make our own music, and we started as Jerry's Kids in 1981.
Wow.
That's when we started out.
So my next question
I
was,
was
actually
2 years old, by the way.
So what was school like for each of you? And you already kind of said, did you ever catch shit when you were younger for being into what you were into?
Oh yeah, all the time. We would be like, we would listen to alternative music, Devo, things like that, and then, all the people at the time they were listening to, what was it,
Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin.
yeah, Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, and all those
yeah.
bands. Not that they're bad, but
good,
it's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Not that we liked that stuff too.
Yeah, we liked it too.
We liked
Um,
all music,
we
all
still
kind of
listen to
music. And
But
yeah,
we
still-
were but we were more into
but
alternative.
back then, it's like if you listened to anything different,
Yeah.
you were different.
Right.
You were an outcast, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yep, I was
Wow.
a skinhead in high school.
Some of us went ahead and went, some of us wore leather jackets. Believe it or not, when I first started, I had hair down to my shoulders. you
Yeah,
know?
we also used to have long hair.
Yeah, I did when I was a
Long
kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and it was like in our high school, it was like 3 of us that were punk rockers.
Yeah.
Or hardcore. We didn't really like the term punk rock.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, me, Steve, and this Bill Bean,
Yeah.
who used to actually play in our band too in the beginning.
Yeah, we were all
High
the
school.
yeah, we were the outcasts in school. We were the punk rockers. We were all the ones looked down upon, because in high school back then, it probably still has now. You have the cliques.
Yeah.
So,
You had
yeah.
you had the jocks. You got the heads. You know, you
The necks.
Unfortunately, it's still pretty similar
is
to
it?
that.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I hit my phase really early of getting into heavy music in like 4th grade, and yeah, nobody was rocking with with what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it still goes on, but
Eh,
it's gotten more acceptable.
And we were always like, screw the mainstream. We're going to be different. We were, nonconformist. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I had my hair long. Everybody had it short. I had it long. When people had it long, we cut it. You know what I'm saying? We were the
Right.
opposite of everybody. We wanted to be, that way. We didn't want to conform to what everybody else was doing.
After a while, did that mindset change at all? You know?
No, I don't think so. We just,
I had to get a job
well, that's
and start paying taxes.
yeah. Then we had the growth. We found out, with Jerry's Kids. Then we found out there was every state had a Jerry's Kids at the time.
Yeah, there was like
Boston.
5 of them or something.
Yeah. So we said we got to change our name. So we went from 81 to 80. We only did 8 Jerry's Kids for like 81 to 82, 83, I think, something like that. And we decided to change our name. It's like, what are we going to change it to? Somehow, I think our lead singer at the time, and that's another thing. We got the main cast here, other than Rod's new. We started out as there was I played guitar, rhythm guitar. Steve played lead guitar. Brian played the drums. He's always played the drums. And we had a lead singer. His name was Scott Marcus. He should be named. He's the one that wrote a lot of our words to the songs. Okay.
Okay.
And Scott Marcus, aka Stock Market. Everybody, he's been famous back in the day, the Marble Bar, Galaxy Ballroom days, where we used to play a lot. And we all played. I think he came up with the name Fear of God. Who knows how? We're all a little high at the time. Around this time, we're all at high school and everything. And so Fear of God went from like 83 to like 87. And like Brian said, then we're like, hey, it's like, wow, okay, we're not making any money doing this. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we all got to get real jobs now, And I joined,
Away.
what's that?
Life got in the way.
Yeah, life got in the way. I joined the Army. And, I mean, we were shows, people were like destroying the places. Cops were coming, shutting it down. We'll get into some stories like that.
Absolutely.
And we there the venues were saying they were like, you owe us money.
Oh wow.
I'll never forget that. We're like, what?
We're not the Blues Brothers.
It's like, well, we owe you money. It's like, so we all had to grow up and get jobs because like I said, we started high school. Then it was like, hey, we got to get jobs. So I joined the Army, and we broke up in '87. And during COVID, we said, let's get the band back together.
So when back then, like, when would you say like your style started to change a little bit? Because I know early on I was wearing like red and bright blue skinny jeans and like a bunch of bracelets and studded belts and stuff like that. And then eventually I sort of tamed it down a little bit. I started wearing, I guess, more quote unquote regular clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I still wore skinny jeans, just like black and regular blue. I still wore band t-shirts. It just wasn't as crazy as it looked. So,
See, I'm going the opposite now.
Okay.
I was like that, but now I'm going into all that now.
Yeah. It's cool either way you go.
Believe it or not, no, I've never changed.
Yeah,
I've never changed. Still
Me
wear
neither, pretty
t-shirt,
much.
jeans.
These guys.
except for like when we like board shorts or like people have camo shorts.
Yeah.
We used to actually they didn't make them back then. So we cut them off ourselves.
Right.
Now we can just buy them already made like that. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much.
Yeah, so I think our style of clothing we've never changed. I still wear t-shirts and
Right.
jeans and everything.
Music style. It's like we started listening to heavier stuff. When we first started, I mean, like Slayer,
Right.
Sepultura, they were never around. So like then, after Fear of God broke up, me and Steve actually kept on playing, and I've never stopped playing since. I've been in
Yep.
bands since day one,
Gotcha.
and wasn't really gonna be in a band, but they needed a drummer. When we first started, they needed a drummer, and I was like kind of just sitting there, the only one. Okay, yeah, I'll play drums, sure. I only had a snare drum too. Didn't even have a drum set. So I just hit the snare and maybe
Wow.
some pots and pans, and that's how we
Made
wrote
it work.
songs at first. Songs that today we still play.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what are some of the best stories from like when you were in school and stuff?
Well, I don't know, school stories.
Yeah, I don't
That
have
was
any
pretty
good
boring.
good shows.
All the stories were outside of school. Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, just from
Yeah,
that kind of era,
Oh.
I don't know, taking speed in high school.
Well,
Used to walk around and torment each other when we're taking speed.
yeah, I mean, high school and all that's probably a blur and wasn't a great experience, until we started doing our own music and started playing and everything. Then things kind of got really crazy, as Jerry's kids, we actually played McDonald's McHappy Day, okay, twice.
So you're saying you've played at McDonald's?
We played at McDonald's. Our lead singer at the time, he's deceased now. That's why I had to pick up the vocals. We figured when we got back together, he passed away in '96. Our bassist at the time, while Rod's here, our bassist at the time, he just passed away. He had a lot of some issues. Medical issues. We had another bassist who joined Fear of God, so he's OG Fear of God, and that was Chris Helms. He played with us in the last couple shows before we broke up, and he's got medical issues too and everything. When we got back together, he played our first show, but after that, he just, he had some medical issues and stuff.
Yeah.
So then we said, Rod's the man. Rod's been OG hardcore bands with Brian and everything, and he loved playing with us, and that's why he's here. So we got the main majority of the bands. So again, we had he used to do a lot of shows because back in the day, remember, there wasn't social media, so how did you do shows? You would go
Word of mouth.
word of mouth. It was like
Flyers.
you do up flyers. Yep. You get your mom and dad who worked at somewhere where they would print them off for you. That's serious. That's how they would do it. Hey, yeah, can your mom make some flyers? Our flyers are all original, drawn up, and we would go to bars and he would our lead singer at the time, Scott Marcus, he would just set up shows for us. How he got this McDonald's show, the one on Caton Avenue and Frederick Avenue,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I think he knew.
Probably knew
someone
somebody.
that worked there.
Yeah, but and it was funny that they ended up getting, there was a flatbed truck
Yep.
and a generator and
Sounds.
huh?
sound man was there.
Yeah, we had some sound man there, and all of a sudden, all of our friends showed up, and next thing I know, there was a video of it that I had years ago of it. It's probably, I think, in some Baltimore Police Department impound lot right now. So, and I'll never forget that a couple things I'll never forget. We played, was hardly anybody there. First McDonald's, my happy show ever there. I'll never forget the fire department across the street came over and were complaining about the words. I
Oh,
guess
jeez.
apparently I heard a couple cuss words, right? And I was like, they can actually hear the words. That's I'll never forget. They can hear the words. That's awesome, man. I thought it was great they could hear the words.
Right.
So we played. They gave us free McHappy meals and all. And then fast forward a couple years later, we might have been Fear of God at the time. We got to play McHappy, McDonald's
McHappy
McHappy Day again, McHappy Day.
Okay.
I'll never forget. We showed up.
It was a big event this time.
Yeah, it was a big event. We showed up, and it's in an area more of a black area. Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. And we showed up, and I'll never forget. There's these 4 or 5 white kids, playing in front of probably about 70, 100, 9, 10-year-old black kids. Everybody. I'm like, okay, playing punk rock. They had no idea what was coming. And we started playing. Third song. I'll never forget. Our lead singer gets up there. Name of this song is "Government Sucks." And the MC, the black lady, comes up, and next thing you know, they cut off our
Oh,
the
man.
vocals. We're still playing. We're like, what the hell is going on? And it's like, she's like, no, 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 no. One of the first times the Fear of God started getting shut down by venues and the police and the fire department.
Now it's a regular basis.
Yeah, so we used to get shut down quite a lot back in the day. I could tell you some more stories.
Yeah. If there was ever footage of this McDonald's stuff that you could post, that shit would go viral so
Oh,
quick.
yeah. I just
yeah.
remember when we were playing, Scott was just
He got pissed.
jumping in it. All the little kids' faces like, and they're like, ah! And just whistles. They gave them
Yeah.
free whistles, and
The
just
kids
like
loved it.
200 whistles just at the top. Like, oh,
Yeah, the kids loved it, but it's like the words, I guess, didn't go over too well with the MC. But the owner of the
Yeah.
McDonald's, she's like, "What? That's crazy, Come on, here's your free McDonald's." And everybody, all of our friends, we're all getting, we're with the band, we're getting free, and everybody got free food. So, hey,
I think that's why we did it, for the free meal.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a famous video where this hardcore band's playing in a Denny's, and a lot of people have
Yeah.
kind of tried to recreate stuff like that. I know a band. I don't know what state it was in, but they did a hardcore show at a Sonic.
Yeah,
And stuff.
I-
People love that stuff. They eat it up.
that's one of my things I'd like to do. Maybe just show up at a Hot Topic show in a mall and just start playing and
Played at a
fucking.
Hunan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chinese restaurant.
All
Oh,
right.
no kidding.
Iron Christ did.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hunan restaurant with sewage.
One time,
Jack's band played.
we got a flatbed truck. We
We
just got a
Sewage
flatbed
and
truck,
Iron Christ.
Yeah.
Chinese food place.
and we got a generator, and we just went
did
around
one with
Baltimore
Oblivion.
City, just playing down at the Inner Harbor. We'd play a song,
I remember
and we'd shut it down before the cops showed up. We went to the Baltimore Museum of Art, played up on top of the monuments there, whatever. Shut it down before the cops came. We went out and did that one time. I'll never forget that. Back in the '80s, before they built a horrible place right there.
Yeah.
Horrible place. Get it?
Okay. So what kind of music did you grow up around, and then how did you end up getting into the other genres, like heavier stuff, or something you might have grew up around heavy stuff?
Well, to me, it started with Kiss.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, it turned into the Dead Kennedys and so on and so on. Then it eventually got into early, Slayer. I went out and bought the first Slayer cassette when it came out, the first album, and eventually
Cassette.
moved into like Hatebreed and stuff like that now.
Nice.
Yeah, I started off actually listening to Elvis Presley. And then it was like Eagles, and then Triumph, and then Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. It was kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier.
Right.
This actually as that came out, then Metallica came out. I remember, the first album came out, Kill 'Em All. I, bought it brand new, and Slayer, and then all that started coming out, Celtic Frost. you know, Exodus, you know, pretty much every, you know, Napalm Death, and then that just started getting heavier and heavier. And then the next band we were in after Fear of God was like a grindcore band,
Okay.
and it's been getting faster and faster ever since then. And I listen to you know all the modern, more you know modern music today. You know all that I listen to. You know, sure it was a little different for my brother.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I mean, I started off with Kiss, like Steve did, talked about. Then it ended up being. Listen, I like to listen to a lot of Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention back in the day. Believe it or not,
Okay.
a completely different genre. So I was a big Frank Zappa, Mothers of Invention, Gong. We listened to them, Hawkwind.
Hawkwind,
Yeah, getting some little weird. Then getting into, yeah, then you start getting into Metallica. Then there was like I'll never forget the first one, Dead Kennedys. Freaking loved the Dead Kennedys. You know, listen to them. Millions of Dead Cops. You know, GBH. You start getting. You know, I started listening to.
Actually, Motorhead.
Yeah,
was actually
Motorhead.
when it all
Yeah.
stopped.
Okay.
Motorhead.
Started.
Yeah.
You ain't going back now. You know.
Yeah, Motorhead. Then start getting. You know, Slayer. So Minor Threat. All them bands. You know, Sex Pistols back in the day. So they were all the big bands back in the day. So they, yeah, I still listen to them. If you pull out my
mean,
CDs in the car, that's what's there.
Gotcha.
Went in all different directions.
Yeah.
As a crossover, you know, DRI, and you know, of course, things I'm wearing now, you know,
I grew
and
up
hardcore.
My sisters and brothers were fucking 15 years older than I was, so I listened to old school stuff.
Gotcha.
I was Emerson, Lake and Palmer, in first
Okay.
grade. You know, I listened to that. Deep Purple was my favorite. I did all that crazy keyboard weird shit.
Okay.
But and then I got into more punk rock, I guess. COC, Corrosion Conformity.
Yeah. Yeah.
The crossover thing was my era. I mean, I'm a little bit younger than these guys, but not much. But I grew up like 1985. I was 15, and that was the shit. DRI came out, Corrosion Conformity, Cro-Mags came out 85, 86.
Yeah.
And they were
Yeah.
crossing it over. And Ludacris, there were so many off brands of
Yeah.
hardcore and went to metal. Some cheesy metal bands got pretty cheesy, but most of the hardcore, Ludacris, Crumbsuckers, all the good stuff. That's what I was into.
Gotcha.
And I saw these guys in late '80s. I saw Carnage, and my buddy Mike Sipple and I, as a drummer, him and I played in bands together. Let's go to see this show, Carnage. I've never seen him before. I've heard of Fear of God, but I've never heard of Carnage. We go see this show, and I said, "What the fuck is that?" Drummers all over the kit. He had this 18. Look at this guy. He's got an 18-piece kit. He's not going to use it. He used every drum on there. Every cymbal was broken. He beat the hell out of his stuff. And my drummer, Mike Sipple, at the time, goes, "I ain't never seen anybody play like that." So, and I've been buddies with these guys ever since. I was like, man, these guys rule. So I used to go to their practices, and I feel good just to be able to play in a band with these guys. And then since then, we put Tugboat in the late '90s, mid '90s, and Brian and I had a band together. Steve and I played in bands. We've all played together over the 35, 40 years we've known each other.
Gotcha.
Here we are, Fear of God.
Yeah. Fear God trying to
Back where we
bring.
started,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they
Trying to,
started.
trying to
That's
bring
why we
fear,
got it,
yeah.
too.
And I've always looked up to these guys.
Yeah.
And these guys are great.
And we're trying to bring Fear of God back. This is our second year of being back. Yep. We did 15 shows.
I've been with you guys
Been-
for
Last
time's
year.
been flying.
Yeah. So we're just trying to bring it back.
Gotcha. So,
good times.
what age did y'all pick up instruments like for the first time? I know you said you picked up drums with them, right?
Yeah, I was like playing in the school marching band and,
Okay.
and you know, concert band, and just playing the bass drum and there's a crash cymbals like.
Well, we were like we said, let's get a band together, right? But Brian, it's like our other bassist, kind of part-time bassist singer, is Bill, a guy named Bill Bean. We were in his garage and it was like, I think, what was it? You came in first, Steve. I think he got his parents to buy him a guitar, and I said, look, we're getting a band together. So that's why we ended up with 2 guitars, a bassist, and a drummer. We're like, all right, then I got a guitar. I got my parents to buy me a guitar, and then we're like, who are we gonna get to play drums? Well, Brian's playing in the school marching band and drums. It's like, that's all right. We bought some cheap $100 drum kit from somebody, you know, and didn't even have a bass head. And I mean, I remember,
Had to use spare
Yeah.
tires to hold
we have
the
a
bass
picture
drums
of it.
back.
I think I brought
Cinder
some
blocks.
stuff, but I'll
Cinder
show you.
blocks, whatever.
Cinder
we
blocks
could.
are always awesome.
Yeah, and then we were like, our other friends with
Spare tires.
he never sang. Let's get Scott to sing. Okay. So another friend of ours came in, and then Bill Bean, he was and Dave Rhodes, he was a friend of ours. He played bass. He got his parents to buy him a bass, and Steve got his parents to buy a PA and for the vocals, and that's how we got started. And then one day we're like, okay, we better start making our own songs, and our very first show was in our lead singer's basement. That he was living in the basement of somebody else's house, and it was another friend of ours. It was Richie Menustick's birthday party. He's deceased now, but that was our first show, 1981.
So it was a show / party.
Oh yeah, there were always parties. Yeah, even now, there's still always parties.
That is
Yeah.
true. So
Yeah, and I think that was the first time I've ever played a full drum set too.
okay.
Our first show, I didn't even play a full drum set.
So it was
Couldn't
forming
even
the
practice
original.
on a full drum set.
Yeah, it was forming the original lineup that made you all take music seriously and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it wasn't really
yeah.
before that you took it too serious.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Just the band. That was it, man. Originally, for all of us, is like there was nothing before that.
I got you, because some people, they start
I-
when they're like
yeah.
4 years old.
Oh,
playing
yeah,
drums.
no.
Oh, okay, that's the story. Yeah.
None of us knew how to play instruments.
I was 6 years old, or maybe 5. I can't
Yeah,
remember. These days, can't remember.
Brian.
Our parents bought me a drum set. It was like more like a kiddie set, but it was like a pretty big kiddie set. And I remember it was playing in the living room. I'm like, oh, this is great. And I have a picture of me, playing. And first thing they're doing is, shut up. I mean, why'd you buy me this drum
Yeah.
set if you're telling me to shut
Yeah,
up?
that's
Can you
funny.
play it a little softer? Can you hit
That's
the
what my
drums
mom-
like a little softer? I'm like, no, not
So
really.
how did your parents, like all of you, how did they approve of music and stuff that you were getting into at all?
Your parents were awesome.
I
Seemed like
I don't even think they put anything into it at all. Period.
No, I mean we actually I can't believe we actually played, and me and Brian and we played in our basements at
Nice.
times with our parents, and of
They
course
usually weren't home though.
at times, but they put up with it for a certain amount of time. We had to stop at a certain amount of time. They yelled down, "Hey, you got it out now," whatever. But believe it or not, when I look at the day now, I was like, I would never do that. I'm like, what are you crazy? I'll never forget the one time our bassist. This is funny as shit. Our bassist, his parents moved out of Arbutus, right, and the house was empty. So we're like, he's like, let's play it. The house is empty,
it's
right?
Band practice.
Where's that band practice? So
Can't
we-
break nothing.
Right. So if the house is empty, we go over there. We're all playing and everything. Next thing
In
it
the
was
dining room.
in the dining room, living room, whatever. All of a sudden, his parents show up.
Oh, jeez.
Like I said, we're still teenagers and everything. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Get the hell out of here! And they're yelling at us. We're packing shit up. We gotta leave. So that was funny. So yeah, we used to play at our different. Our parents, Brian's. We used to play at different our basement, and they put up with it for a little while until our lead singer, he ended up moving out of his parents' house, and moved into places to where we would practice at.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so luckily wherever he moved to, he was lived in the basement of like a couple's house, and they allowed us to play and practice down there. He would move somewhere else, we would practice there, and they were really not that place. That was nice. There were nice people that we know about, but there were some places that were really shitty.
Yeah, South Charles Street.
South Charles Street. I mean, yeah, you couldn't even use the toilet. I mean,
Oh, jeez.
we're talking about some really.
Are you talking about Jules's loft? There was
No,
this place
down
called-
South
The
Charles
one-
Street near the market.
Yeah, the one place
Oh,
near the
yeah,
market, and the house next to Jules where he lived in. That
Oh,
was
yeah,
that was
yeah,
a
that-
dump. Yeah.
Jules'
That-
loft,
Yeah, that was a place they
That
used to
was
have
the best place
shows
to go.
like back
Yeah.
in the day, '90s and
early '80s.
early '80s.
Yeah.
I was
place
gonna
on Utah
ask,
Street.
like what venues were around at that time, if there was any that hosted
Well,
punk and
Yeah,
stuff like
Marble
that.
Bar.
Yeah.
We used to play there all the time. Galaxy Ballroom,
Trenton Street
Um,
Stop.
Trenton Street Stop, Jules's Loft, was right on Utah Street in Baltimore. Terminal 406 was right across the street, another one of his places.
DC
And-
had a lot of good stuff. Safari Club in DC. We used to play there a lot back in the day.
930 Club. I don't think we ever played there though.
Yeah, 9:30.
I did see a picture on Instagram from back in the '80s. You played at the Trenton Street stop.
Yeah.
What can you recall from like back then playing there?
Well, we can tell you there was a show involved a pig's head.
Yeah, that one.
That's
Um,
that's the
Pig's head.
Galaxy Ballroom there.
That's the Galaxy Ballroom. That's Steve right there. That's Brian, the drums. That's him, believe it or not. That's
Believe it or
me.
What do you mean by that? Why, just a little heavier or something?
You had hair.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
that's right,
say.
yeah, hair, yeah. Forgot.
Yeah, and that was our lead singer, Scott, and that was our bassist,
Yeah, they're
Dave. They're
gone.
both deceased. That was
Wow.
me playing guitar. Yeah, so that was like 86 maybe,
Let's see if we can.
at the Marble Bar.
Yeah,
Yep, that's
we
the
got some
band.
Antique photos here, guys.
Uh,
Yeah,
There's not
black
many
and white.
photos. They're on the.
But believe it or not, there was color back then. It
Yeah, we
was
just had black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't afford color
Not like
cameras.
not like cell phones now.
Now stuff like this is like important to keep around.
Oh yeah, and there's so much more footage and pictures that
Probably out there floating around.
that no Scott
Yeah, he would.
he
I like
passed
this
away.
one.
Well, yeah, show
Is,
that
it,
one.
is this
so,
supposed to be like the electric chair?
Yeah, so Fear of God used to be famous for doing
Cool.
some shows at the beginning of our sets, right? Here's the other thing too. Back in the day when we would play, you could play till the bar closed at 2 in the morning.
Right.
Now it's like you get 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes if you're lucky, and these shows, and it's like you're done at 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
we
they'll
played for an
fine you
hour.
and all sorts.
Yeah,
of
we used to
shit.
play for an hour back in the day.
Less
or more.
bands would play. And
Yeah.
Nowadays, like more bands would
Yeah,
play.
you have
shows,
4 bands. We used to play. We would headline and have another band play. That was at. Believe it or not, those pictures are from Odd Fellows Hall, which is now the Rector Theater, which it might have even changed.
The record in Towson.
And Rector, right? That and
Record Theater.
Well, you used to do crazy
that- yeah,
stuff
yeah.
before
Oh.
songs.
yeah. So what happened was one day, we started getting into they started getting bloody. Right,
Horror
so-
movies and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So we were in the horror movies too, right?
Okay, that's
So I'll never forget. I loved the makeup effect artist Tom Savini used to do Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and all these movies back then, right? And I had his book, and he's going through all this how you can do stuff, right? And I'll never forget. We were all sitting around our dining room table in Arbutus, right? The band pretty much, and we're all sitting around. And I said, "Hey, guys, you guys remember this?" I said, "Watch this," and I took this razor blade. And I went like this, and I just sliced my arm, and all this blood started.
oh
Like
my god.
they all, whoa, what the hell is going on? And I said, look, it was fake, right?
Oh shit.
So that started into us doing some bloody stuff, right?
Yeah, he would slice his throat on stage.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God.
taught him. We'd have a song. We haven't done it yet. It's called Leech. He would, and then one of the words in the song goes, "Come on, baby, slice my eyes," and he would go like this and slice his eyes. All his blood would run down. We've actually had people throw up in the audience.
Oh my
before.
god.
There has been that, and that's and it's like it.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
One time he dressed up. You can see the one picture he's being electrocuted. One time he dressed up like Santa Claus, and we would go to like Giant and buy all these guts and stuff, and he would put them in a bag, and we'd have somebody come up and slice his stomach open, so we disemboweled Santa Claus on stage. All this blood would come out and everything. So, and we would do that, we would do some. We would think, what could we do next show and the next show?
He got a pig's head.
Yeah,
That's
so
at Trenton. You were talking about
Yeah,
Trenton
he
Street.
mutilated the pig's head on stage.
Yeah.
Jeez.
so what happened?
Cleared out the
yeah.
place pretty quick.
Yeah, so what-
Well,
So what happened was we were playing a show. It was Groundhog's Day, so it's a show, and we knew these guys that would in this one band. They would get these. They would rent out like a warehouse, right? Rent out a warehouse. We'd buy a bunch of kegs, and we would charge like $5 or whatever. Come in, all you can drink, and we get a couple bands. So it was somewhere they rented this out. We show up, and it was Groundhog's Day. So I have no idea why we got this pig, how we got it, whatever. So our lead singer got this pig, and I'll never forget. Showed up at his house one day, where he's staying, and in a big bag he pulls out this pig, and it was already dissected. Everything, all the
man.
guts were all taken out, and this pig was as big as a medium-sized dog. I mean, it was
Oh, yeah.
like a German Shepherd,
He
right?
got from the cross street market.
Yeah, so he got it. Yeah, 'cause that's where he lived, down South Baltimore. So he got him like, holy cow! Okay, well, let's cut the pig's head off on stage. right? So we show up at the place to play. We have it in this big trash bag, and we're getting ready to play. We're setting up. We're getting ready to play. Here we are. All of a sudden, here come the cops, Baltimore City Police, blowing whistles. Here come the fire department. They all come in, like they shut it down. We're like, we're giving them shit, and we're like, you want to go to jail? I'm like, nope, okay. So they have no idea there's this pig laying there onto the ground, right? And so we took and um, had to pack everything up, put it back in his car, put the pig back in his car. 2 weeks go by, and we're playing another show. They did the same thing. Had another show, and he's we're getting ready to play again. Here come the cops. Here come the fire department. They come and shut it down. Took the pig, put it back in his car. Another 2 weeks go by. We're looking to do a show. Now we have a show set up at the Trenton Street Stop, right? So now it's been like 4 weeks, right? It's February now, but that last week or two, it starts warming up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're now it's like the pig is kind of melting and it's not smelling too good. So it's like we can't.
I was gonna say it can't be.
Nah, we can't cut the head off on stage, and so we play that show. We take the pig out back. I'll never forget. I brought a machete. We got this. It's everybody's drunk, everybody's high, and everything. So we got this guy to cut the pig's head off out back. Now, if you know where Trenton Street Stop is, and the Club Charles, and there's a McDonald's on North Avenue. So there's a McDonald's on North Avenue, and if you go out the back there, there's an alley. So you got the McDonald's, back of the McDonald's, you got the back of that, back of the Club Charles, and so we cut the pig's head off. And I'll never forget, what were we gonna do with the pig, right? Without the head, so we stuffed the pig into the McDonald's trash can. I'll never forget looking at that, seeing the ass of this pig sticking out, and the little curly tail.
Wish
So
we took a picture of that.
I wish, yeah, we didn't have
Album cover right
yeah,
there.
we didn't have cameras back
Yeah.
then. So we go in. He takes the pig's head, and we're playing songs. And I'll never forget. He starts chopping the pig's head up with a machete, and I'll never forget. There was pieces flying everywhere.
Got all over my shoes.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was on our
gosh.
shoes.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. My guitar had pieces of brain matter and skull stuck to it, and everything. And to this day, I mean, I cleaned it up, but I bet you to this day, if I took luminol, you'd probably see stuff on my
Stains.
guitar. Yeah, stains. So, yeah, that was the pig's head story.
Yeah, kids today are quite soft for these activities.
Yeah, and I think at one of the shows there also he had the famous shirt he brought out.
Yeah, bloody
The
tampons.
bloody tampon
attached
shirt.
to a shirt. All
Oh
over
my.
a shirt.
Well,
Like ornaments.
Yeah.
Oh my
So-
god.
yeah, so yeah, he ended up at one. I don't know why he had this bloody tampon shirt. He came out and wore it, and I don't know if you've seen the pictures. I brought that back this year. So our first show this year.
Don't know if I did. Maybe I did, but I didn't
I'll
quite.
show you pictures. There's
Okay.
if everybody goes on Facebook, I brought that back, and we played. Actually, we played our first show this year. We played at the soundstage.
Oh, nice.
So I said, you know what, I'm going out, and I wore the bloody tampon shirt on there, threw some bloody tampons in the audience, so at least I could say I'm probably the only person who ever wore a bloody tampon shirt at the soundstage.
Definitely.
So yeah, so
Could autograph them when you threw them.
yeah, so that was pretty cool doing something like that.
Nice. So kind of going back to the very first ever Fear of God show, what other bands were on that lineup?
Well,
That the very first show you're talking about in the basement.
Yeah.
it wasn't just
I
us.
think it was just us.
Okay.
But we've played with like pretty much every old hardcore punk rock band you can think of. We opened up for COC. I mean, before they were like COC. I mean,
Right.
they were like they were a punk rock band. Opened up for Circle Jerks,
Channel 3.
Black
Channel 3,
Flag, right?
Black Flag.
Because I was watching a live
Kraut,
set
um,
from recently, and he was talking about that, how you guys had opened up for these bands. So kind of keep talking about, what other bands you've played with, and, what it was like to play with them at that time.
Yeah, UK Subs, TSOL, Social Distortion,
Dead Milkman.
Dead Milkman, Crucifix, Crucifix.
Actually, I don't remember the experience of it too. We're probably
No.
drinking and smoking so much, I don't remember.
Yeah.
it.
I did borrow drummer's cymbals for circle jerks.
Oh,
'cause
nice.
Mine were too beat up. You know what I mean?
Here's a bunch of
Thank you for bringing all
Yeah,
this.
no,
This is
sure.
cool.
this is probably one of our first shows. Jerry's Kids at Oddfellows Hall in Towson.
Wow.
That's
This-
our actually first show.
This was our actually first
Actually
show,
playing out at a place.
Yeah, club band.
and these are other bands.
Our actual first,
McDonald's.
official kind of show at a club, and that's probably the most money we made.
Yeah, probably in our life.
I think
Yeah.
we're like,
That's when we played with
my
Circus
God,
Freak.
the money's in the hundreds. What?
McDonald's, McHappy Day. Here's a show at a Terminal 406. TSOL, Black Flag,
Nice.
Jerry's Kids. That's what we were, Jerry's Kids. We don't have to make all these things up, these flyers, but these are all Jerry's Kids.
So
Posters.
playing with these bands at the time, was it as big then as it is now? You know what I mean? Looking back on it, does it mean as much as it did back in the day?
Personally, I think Baltimore scene wasn't very good back then. You had to go
Well,
to
all
DC.
the bands that came through played DC first, and then when
Right.
it came to Baltimore, it is like mostly everybody went to that first show, and it wasn't. Some of them were really good. I mean, but believe it or not, a lot of it was just like it is today. I
Okay.
mean, which isn't bad. I mean, there's good shows, there's bad shows.
Yeah, we played at some shows we thought weren't going to be that great, and it's like, damn, all these people show up, right? So we just getting back to to shows like Rod, he owns a bike shop at Pedal Pushers. And
Yeah, we're gonna
Silver
talk
Park.
about that.
Yeah, so he decided I want to do a show there. I'm like, all right, well, we didn't think it was going to be that great, right?
Yeah, I was
So
fucking nervous.
we got a couple bands, 4 bands to play, and we figured, we didn't even really advertise it too much.
Right.
And we didn't think it was going to be all that, just like a band practice or something. We just, hey,
Yeah.
what the hell? It was free. Next thing I know, we show up. And it's next to a little Italian restaurant. There's some little shops. So I started putting some posters up. Hey, free punk show, rock
Right.
show. And there's all these kids on their bikes and all. I'm like, hey, you guys want to come to a punk show? Where's that? It's like right next door. I'm like, cool. So 7 o'clock, next thing I know, I'm standing there, and all these kids start coming in.
Yeah, it was standing room only all of a sudden.
Yeah, that was the first show, and there was a lot of people there. Then we did a second show, it was even more people. And the third show we just did, it was packed. So
Awesome.
it's like, yeah.
We're bringing the
Yeah, but
scene
it
up.
helps when it's free to get in.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
yeah,
That's when you rely on your merchandise to try to make money.
yeah.
So
Probably we made the most money today
shop-
so far
shop
is
shows.
the
It's
merch.
crazy.
okay. So going back to the
Yeah, merchant.
shows that you've played with Black Flag and stuff like that, just in general back then, how crazy were the pits and the energy when these bands played at their peak?
Back then, that was crazy.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Unless in some places you play, they didn't allow stage diving. and
Right,
you
right.
started doing a pit, they think you're fighting, and they're.
Dude.
I've been at like a Slayer show where I'm just going yeah, and then all of a sudden the bouncer gets me in a full Nelson,
Damn,
and drags me out the
crazy.
side door, and I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
I
So,
was just having fun.
yeah, I mean, I'll never forget, we played the Marble Bar. That was a place to play back in the day. And the Galaxy Ballroom was right above it. But I'll never forget, we're up there on stage. Marble Bar was the early 80s. You couldn't stage dive. You
Right.
couldn't mosh. They call it slam dancing back in the day.
Yep.
And I'll never forget, we're up there playing, and people start diving off the stage, and they're slamming everything. Next thing you know, here come the cops. Come in, they shut it down.
Yeah, they probably think it's a damn riot and
Yeah.
shit.
You couldn't do that shit back then
Yeah.
in the 80s. Like I said, another show we were shut down. So there's 3 or 4 shows. Right now we're shut down. We played. There was a show we played in Severna Park somewhere. I'll never forget. We showed up, and we're like, damn, there's people parking cars. They had, there was like hundreds of people. It was like going to like almost like a. It reminded me of going to like the Merriweather Post Pavilion or something.
Damn.
It had to
There's-
be. I know where that was.
It was a big farm, and
That
there's
was it.
guys parking
Yeah.
cars.
Islet Farm.
Yeah, and there's a house, a
3648.
screened-in house. There was a farm, a barn, and down in the little valley there was like 50 kegs of beers, right? And they were charging, people coming, yeah, we're with the band, all right. And I'll never forget, man. We were up
We're
there.
playing on a porch.
It was a screened-in porch. The first guy to play, the first opening act, was this it's a black guy and he did Jimi Hendrix covers.
Nice.
Okay, and yep, we loved Jimi Hendrix back in the day too.
Hell
Another guy.
yeah.
So we're the next band. We go up there, and I'll never forget. We're on the porch. We're playing, man. About 3, 4 songs into it, I'll never forget. Way off in the distance, I see these cop cars coming
Oh,
in,
jeez.
and we're still playing. We're still playing. I'm like, oh fuck. You know, here are all these cars coming. 7 Anne Arundel County cop cars with the lights coming, just pull up right in front of the porch, and we still playing. We're, hell yeah, let's keep playing. And they open up the door and they're like, no, stop, shut it down. Another show where, they canceled, shut us down. The man came and shut us down. That's what our song "Disturbing Resisting" is all about. It's about the man.
Okay. Yeah,
About the
we'll
man.
talk about we're gonna talk about like that whole album and kind of get into the lyrics and stuff. So my question about kind of back in the day versus now, when it comes to the energy and the mosh pits, do you think that can ever be replicated, or has it been replicated yet in the new hardcore scene?
It's definitely been replicated. I mean, it's just a lot like now. It's weird because
I think
it
it's
was
more
different.
violent now than it
Oh
was
yeah,
back then.
because now they never used to do the swing
Yeah.
kicks and
Okay.
all back
Yeah.
then,
Bruce Lee.
and it was more like the the circle jerks guy or the DRI guy. You see slamming. That's
Yeah,
how
you
it
just
was.
go in circles
Right.
and slam.
Yeah.
Now it's like they punch and kick and do this and
Yeah.
like you're doing some karate or something.
So it's actually gotten more violent.
Oh,
and
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. I mean,
Yeah, it's
the,
some
da-
some.
the dancing's more violent, but the actual people in the pit
Right.
is not violent like they used to be. Back in the day, we had different. It was a different world.
See,
Yeah,
see, when
yeah,
I was
totally
talking to my
different
dad, that's the
Yeah.
kind of stuff
Yeah.
that he was,
You get in the pit, you got all kind of people to deal with. Back in the day.
You get some bad
Skinheads-
actors.
skinheads
Yeah.
came, I mean, it was all good. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the way it was. We all got along, but some didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was scary.
You always had that one in the
House.
pit that was out to try and.
Yeah, hurt
Yeah,
somebody.
hurt somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always that one
We always-
bad
we
apple
always had
or
Bob Williams with
asshole
us,
in
so
the
we were
group.
good.
You know.
yeah,
Bob Williams
Even
was
back
on our
then.
side.
usually the most intoxicated.
Yeah.
Or that. Yeah. And we didn't play, but we went to this show in D.C. called Rock Against Reagan,
Huh.
and
Yeah, the pit
Dead
was
Kennedys
like big as a
played,
football field.
Bad Brains played, right on
Nice.
the I guess the mall. you would
Yeah.
call it.
Yep.
And Toxic Reasons. And that pit was pretty scary. I mean, yeah, there was actually someone did a stage dive and split his head open, and they had to call an ambulance. And the ambulance
Yeah.
comes in, then there's police coming, and I remember the police. Everybody actually, hundreds of people encircled the police and was yelling at them like this, and they're all standing there pretty much in the middle with their guns, getting ready to,
Yeah.
scared
Ugh.
as hell. I don't know how that
Yeah.
all dissipated, but yeah, it was pretty scary back then. And I was pretty young too. I was like 16, 15, 16, 17.
And that
Yeah.
stuff is almost crazier at that age, you know.
Oh yes, exactly, yeah. Now I just look back and go, yeah. And now see today though, and there was a lot of shows we played that some of the teenagers they're starting to bring that old school
Yeah.
kind of slamming back, which is pretty neat. And actually, I've playing shows and everybody kind of looks is like how it was back then.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of comments on social medias, people complaining about how people mosh nowadays, and I'm like, anytime I go and look at old footage, I'm like, it's just as the same, if
Oh
not,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
if not more intense in some cases, you know.
Yeah, back in the day too, they didn't have what's that called thing with the two groups all smashing.
Oh, the
together?
wall of
Yeah,
death.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
have that back then, but
No,
that's a
no.
little crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people get injured in those more than others, because it's like people trampling each other almost, and that's
Yeah, and then when you're intoxicated too, it's like I guess it's a little easier to do that.
yeah.
Or
Yeah, some
be
things that have never
involved.
changed, other than the fact that back in the day you couldn't do that, but now you can.
Yeah, and there's more, and well, with the social medias and stuff, now people have the platform to complain.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, right. That yeah.
So I guess what I should ask is, back in the day, were there any groups of people complaining about certain moshing styles, or was everybody just kind of,
If they did, we didn't hear about it
I gotcha.
because it wasn't like
Yeah,
phones or texting or media or anything.
there was kind of only one moshing style back then too.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It's just
Right, right, right.
Usually,
The
if
old-
someone was
the
doing
old-
something
yeah,
bad, a lot of
started,
people go
yeah.
over and
Yeah.
take
Right.
care of it.
then you jump up on the stage and jump off
And then
Yeah.
without getting in trouble.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's just people will be like, "Ah, no karate in the pit, no this, no
Right,
that,"
right.
That's what it
and
looks
well,
like. It's karate.
some people think that kids have gone soft, and like I said, some people think people are going too crazy now. It's
I have no complaints as long as people show up.
Yeah,
and
Right.
show
again,
up
have a
and
good time.
Jump
You
around
know?
and have fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what it's all
Yeah,
about.
Yeah, it all depends, with the shows we do.
Get
We-
along,
yeah.
and that's why we're all there anyway.
Yeah.
We're all there, and to see the same band and have
Right.
a good time together. And there shouldn't be any problems, but
yeah. More people need to have situational awareness. That's the problem. Is people come
Right.
to shows, or people bring people to shows, and they
yes,
don't
and that's
tell
where all
them.
the fights start because
Yeah.
they don't know about they're trying to take pictures while the band's playing, and then somebody bumps into them because they're doing this.
Yeah,
and then-
we were at a show with my daughter's friend down the street. She's like 16 or whatever, never been to a show,
Right.
and we were at the ruins, the Fort Armistead ruins, doing a show there. I don't know if you've seen any.
I'm
show like
familiar
that.
with that. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen
it's
the
pretty
videos.
cool. Yeah, it's really
Hell yeah.
cool. And she went to take some pictures of us and kind of got involved into into the mosh. And her boyfriend came in, and next thing you know,
Her
little
boyfriend
fight.
got mad, and
Yeah, got a
Ah,
little fight. And I was
jeez.
like, look, no, there was nobody trying to
Right.
hurt her. She just, it's just,
got in the way.
Usually
gotta
people are
stay out of
looking
the-
out for that sort of shit.
Yeah.
There's always someone there that'll step in if, someone's acting like an asshole.
Oh yeah.
Usually everybody will step in
Right,
if
right,
there's one
right.
person. So let's see.
and Baltimore has a way of policing its own self too.
Yeah.
In last shows, in Baltimore.
No doubt. So what are some of because you mentioned the guy who stage dived, split his head open. What are some of the other mosh pit injury stories that y'all have from over the years? It could be a
think it was a-
personal injury or one
well,
you've witnessed, both,
Yeah, what was it? There's a DC show. What was playing? Or that kid. He all of a sudden the show stops and his arms the opposite way, like this.
Oh, fuck.
He's and what was it?
I forget.
I think it might have been
It's been plenty.
Biohazard and Iceman. It was like a pretty brutal show.
Yeah.
That's when the pit started getting a little more violent, like people starting to kind of try to hurt people and other people,
Like it's football.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not football.
And usually after the
rednecks
pit
started
stop, I was
jumping in,
bending
trying to
over,
play
breathing
football.
so hard I didn't get to pay attention to what's going, who's
Yeah.
hurt or not.
Yeah, a lot of the times I've gotten in pits recently. I guess it's more at a big show. When it's a big show and you get
Yeah.
into a pit, yeah, I gotta go take a time out.
Yeah, you're so out of breath. You got 20 people banging into you and shit.
Yeah, I remember out at the Kubla Khan show I went to it and knocked loose. Like my legs and my feet felt heavy after I was done in the pit. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Whew.
Yeah, I was at Slayer show in what was it? Painter's Mill. If anybody remembers that.
Yep.
And I got in the pit. We had tickets up in the seats, and I kept on trying
Right.
to get down closer and closer. And the bouncers are looking. Then I hurried up and I jumped in, and they think they see my feet as I was jumping in. And then I just went in and kind of they couldn't find me, and then I'm kind of actually the show started because it was a big pit. I mean, it was like 200 people standing there, right?
Yeah.
And then they start playing, and I literally couldn't move. I'm like this,
Oh, man.
going with everybody, and I'm doing everything I can to,
Stay up.
Not fall over.
to not fall over and be trampled on.
Yeah.
And the way out of the pit is just start doing a crowd surfing,
Yeah.
and then they take you over the top, and I fall in the section between the stage in the pit.
Yeah, it can be
And then
hard
the
to get
bouncers
out.
just taking, yeah. Then they just took me on the side and said, "Sit there," you know.
Yeah, you got to make
That
it
was
very
it.
clear. You got to be like, I'm done.
Right.
Let me in.
But yeah, you just want to be out of there anyway because you're so exhausted from just trying to stand up, you know.
Yeah, I saw Turnstile in Denver with my cousin, and we got there early. And so we got to the very front of the barricade, which is cool because I'm short, so I can barely see concerts a lot of the time. But I did not like being at the barricade because everybody's, squishing against you and shit. I did not like that shit.
A lot of times when I went to shows, it was like the Dead Kennedys. They were like one of my favorite bands. I wanted to sit there and watch them,
Yeah.
Right.
not like actually get in the pit and not see them. So I stood to the side, watch a lot. Then all of a sudden, the adrenaline kicks in, and you just got to get in there. But
Yeah.
a lot of times, I wanted to see the bands.
Yeah, I like to say sometimes the pit just comes to you,
Yeah.
Yeah, you end up in the pit.
Yeah, if the pit's starting behind you, then you kind of,
Well, that's what happened when I seen I think it was Danzig,
Nice.
and at what was it, Network, and I was in the front of the stage, and he starts playing, and everybody starts pushing forward, and I'm literally like, can't even catch my breath.
Yeah.
I gotta get out
That
of this.
stage would kill you.
I gotta get out of this. So I actually put my feet up and did a dive backwards. Came down, and all of a sudden, here comes the full Nelson right out the door.
Yeah, neck work, we used to call it.
Yeah,
neck
neck
you with
work.
their mullets. They put you in a headlock and beat you up. You paid to get in. You paid $25 probably back then.
Did you? I'm assuming you saw more of that back then. Like
paid a lot
cops
more
would be
money
more
for shows
likely
back
to,
in the day.
Yeah, well, back then the bouncers was
Yeah.
everybody was like, fuck the bouncers, because
Yeah,
they were
exactly.
the
They're-
big time, like, out to throw you out of the show.
Right.
And
That's all
pretty
they cared
much,
about.
yeah,
That-
that's
that
all
was
they
their-
cared about. Like,
that was their fame.
that and lifting weights.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
problem with getting like I guess
Taking
normies to work at a metal show. You get people that don't like metal to work at a metal show. It's just
Right.
it ain't
Well,
gonna be a good
And-
time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's still happening now because a good friend of ours, one of our best, our biggest fan, who just passed away recently, got kicked out of a couple of our shows. And he's a little loud and vivacious,
Yeah.
and the bouncers weren't
Damn.
into that, and they had to kick him out. Next thing I know,
I think he
Wayne.
wanted to be kicked out because last time I seen him, he's like literally running down in Inner Harbor, with the bouncers chasing him.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's Keith Worth. He just passed
Yeah.
away, or
He's the man.
he's the man. He #1 fan, fear of God.
So other than the Trenton Street Stop, what other shows can you remember from the 82 to 87 time period?
Oh, a lot of the Galaxy Ballroom show with COC,
Yeah, when we opened up for Circle Jerks and Marble Bar, I remember that. That's pretty-
Kraut, Channel 3,
Yeah.
Marble Bar. That was a good one.
Channel 3 was in Columbia, wasn't it?
No,
No. Oh, SOD was in.
Channel 3 and Kraut was at the
Okay.
Marble Bar.
I'll never
play with SOD.
SOD.
Pretty cool.
Some of the shows, it's like you don't even.
Oh,
We
yeah.
played. I got a whole
There were
list
so
of
many,
the
I
shows
can't
that we did, and who we played with. I got a
Yeah.
whole list here. I tried to put together, and it's like a lot of them. It's like somebody might say something, and you don't even remember a show.
Nope.
For example, somebody on Facebook said, "Hey, I remembered you guys. Remember you played this show? It was a house party in Towson." And I'm like, I don't remember that show. He actually posted the whole show.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's us. He says we were there, and he said, yeah. After you guys played, they couldn't find the mic. A fight broke out. I don't remember any of it. And yeah, this guy's told on Facebook, and the fight broke out, and he said all these jocks were there because it was Towson, all the jocks, everything. And like I said, I don't even remember that show. But
Probably because of drugs and drinking.
yeah, that.
And
Uh,
time.
one- One
oh,
show
yeah.
I'll never forget. We played in Philly with the Freeze. Band
Yeah.
called the Freeze,
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
And it
Flag
was-
of Democracy, I
yeah,
think it was.
and it was in a row house. I don't know. It was in the
Yep,
basement.
of the row house.
Basement of the row house was cleaned out. There was a stage, and I'll never forget. We got up there, we're playing, and I'll never forget.
A lot of people there.
It was packed. It was so packed. I would never forget. We're playing.
The stage was like maybe 8 inches, and so when the crowd was pushing forward,
The whole, yeah.
my drums are literally
I remember
coming
the
up on me, and
I remember the whole listen. I remember the whole stage. We were playing the whole stage. People hit it, and the whole stage just like rose up like this and like came down. I'm like,
Damn.
holy shit! And Brian's trying to grab
The
his
microphone
drums.
hit me. And people come
Microphone.
smashing the stage.
And-
The mic hit me right in the face.
Everybody was moshing.
But it was a great time though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like one of our best shows.
Yep.
Too. I mean,
Yep.
yeah. I mean,
That
from
one-
the very first, nobody there probably even heard us
Yep.
before, and then from the very first one,
They probably
two,
got that
three,
flyer in
four,
there too.
Got
Start
the-
playing
got the
this,
flyer.
everybody started going nuts, and
This
that's
That
yeah.
shows right there. It's
I think one of the pictures here we played Oddfellows Hall. That was probably our goriest show ever. It kind of was snowballing.
Okay.
You know, like I said, it was snowballing. Some of the things we did, slicing his eye, he gutted himself, things like that. Santa Claus. I'll tell you a story about the Santa Claus in a minute.
I don't know if I should tell you that story.
yeah,
What, how
well,
we got
nah.
the Santa Claus?
Yeah, I'll tell a story about.
Well,
So the bloodiest show ever at '87 that we kind of broke up shortly after this. So we these are the pictures from it.
Limitations ran out by now.
Yeah, this is the pictures we here's a table. The table, there's a picture of it, and we got some girl. She was drunk out in the audience, and we got her on stage, and he's dressed like a doctor and everything, and we did an abortion on the stage.
Oh my.
Not a real one, okay?
Right. Right.
She's drunk and everything. You know, yeah, and she's got her legs up, and this is before the song. Brian's probably playing drums. I can't remember.
I hope I was.
Usually we have our intro to Death to Music. We always play this when we would do some of this stuff, and he pulled out the baby, and there's this bloody baby, you know, and he pulled it out, and he
doll, bloody
it's a
baby doll.
baby doll.
Right, right.
And he opened up, he pulled the head apart, and his brains coming out and everything, and there's pictures of him right here. He's holding it. You can see.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to get the pictures.
Like I said,
uh,
people today, man, they're too soft for shit like this, man.
Oh yeah.
You do that
Well,
nowadays, unfortunately, people will go
back-
out and try to.
back Then we were kind of trying to offend like everybody.
Right.
you
What
know.
what could we do next that would, on stage,
Well, the
do
Galaxy
a show?
Ballroom, we laid newspaper down to help, so we clean up the blood.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have a song called "Spray the Kids with Raid." So he'd take hairspray, and the baby doll, and he'd light a lighter and spray the baby doll with flames, and it caught the paper on fire,
Yeah.
Shit.
and it blackened the seal, and they got on us so much about that.
Wasn't that the
Yeah. Galaxy Ballroom.
that was
Remember that one?
Upstairs from the Marble Bar.
yeah, but that was the Battle of the Bands, wasn't that?
Yeah.
that the show?
That was in the Marble Bar, Battle of the Bands. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. So that's a whole nother. There was this Battle of the Bands, and we played, and there was this other band. They were, this rock band, more pop, I guess. I'm not, not our kind of music. You know what I'm saying? So everybody voted. We won. They declared us the winner. Then the owners, we're not supposed to win anything.
Right.
We're fear of God. We do this crazy shit.
Baltimore
right?
Magazine voted us the worst
Yes.
band in Baltimore.
Wow.
Right after this, so he ended up voting in and saying no, they won. They won. It's like, wait a minute, you own the place, you can't win. That's conflict of interest. So we ended up protesting all that. Our lead singer went to. It's funny as shit. Our lead singer went to take him to court and everything, and before we could go to the court, he died. Okay. And I'll never forget, he went and seen him. He said, Wayne, he looks like he had a smirk on his face, like, yeah, fuck us. But, we're not supposed to win anything. But, yeah, Baltimore Magazine, famous Baltimore Magazine, voted us the worst new band in
And
Baltimore.
when was this?
1983,
84.
4.
Shit, man.
Still got the magazine.
Yeah. Steve, I think, has that
Yeah.
magazine.
Boy Meets Girl was the best band in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gay ass band, but,
Nah, they're
I don't know.
good for what they do.
Yeah, they were good for what they did, but,
Music's subjective.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
absolutely.
it's-
Right.
Well, they
That's
said
it.
that worst band was just as good as the best band.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like they say, no publicity's bad. and
Exactly.
whatnot,
Right,
so-
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. You were in a magazine.
And
That's-
getting back,
yeah.
getting back to the Santa Claus. You want to say how you got the Santa Claus? That's what.
Well,
want me
how
to-
I got this. Well, Scott, our singer, is like relived in exactly by the center of the earth. I don't know, but anyway, he's like, "Hey, I found a Santa Claus."
I said, Brian,
I'm
come
like,
pick
"Cool,
me up.
come pick me up. We'll go get it." And I thought, go store, So he's like, he gets my car and we're driving and through the neighborhood. He's like, turn right here. Okay, turn left here. And I'm driving, and then, okay, stop. So I stop. And he gets out real quick. He runs up on someone's lawn and grabs their big life-size Santa Claus and runs back,
Go.
throws it in the back seat, and like, go, go, go. And I'm like,
Yep, that's how we got the Santa Claus.
then
was.
later on that night, when I think it was, he filled it up with the blood and guts, and took an axe, and while we were playing, was destroying somebody's Christmas ornament.
Yeah, you don't see this kind of like theatrics anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
And to say, if I knew he was going to do that, I probably wouldn't have done that. But because hopefully the statute of
Now,
limitations.
there's a
ran.
chance they might have approved.
Yeah. Hey.
If someone stole my Santa, now this is me, so I guess I might be a little biased. But if I found out someone stole my Santa, filled it with guts, and stabbed it at a punk show, I'd be like, solid.
Right.
All
Just,
right.
just send me the
Yeah.
pictures.
Right, yeah.
Cool, yeah.
I'd be like, next time invite me,
Right. Or yeah.
I'll get you a new Santa. So over like the original 5 to 6 years that you played in the 80s as Fear of God, how would you say you evolved over the years, and then where did you hit your peak at that time?
Well, I think when we first started, you're first starting out, you're like high school kids. The songs were kind of rudimentary.
Yeah, like 3-chord stuff.
Yeah, three
Okay.
chord songs. It was,
Towards the end, we probably got a little bit of
So
metal got into it.
yeah,
it started turning more in metal, singing more about like war and stuff. It turned out more like when we first
More-
started playing, it was like Jerry's Kids, and more the songs are more like
Government sucks.
government subs,
Okay.
Nation in
Yeah.
Decline,
and what I mean
Ride
is-
in the City.
Well, what I mean too
More-
is like basic, but now it's more complex. It's
Not much
Yeah.
more, but it is more.
It's a little. I think our newer songs.
Yeah, we've
more
written a couple new
complex.
songs because most of the stuff we're playing now is actually what we wrote back then.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's like 2 more CDs of music that that we can put out from music back then.
Nice.
songs
Yeah,
that-
so-
that
so-
we plan to
yeah.
do also.
So during COVID's when we started getting together, everything's closed and everything. So we said let's do all. We started doing like 17 songs we thought were the best. Then we said okay, let's. We've been practicing for quite a while with Chris, and then we said okay, well we practiced, let's record the shit, right? So we said let's pick 10 songs. So we all decided, pick the best songs. So we went in the studio and did 10 songs. So we've got like 32 songs, not including the new ones that Rod has wrote for us and Steve has wrote. And we actually have a folder full of our deceased lead singer's songs, like things he wrote that we will probably be incorporating into
Nice.
these songs. So it's like he's coming back from the dead and contributing to the band, if you
Nice.
think about it. So yeah, so we got the 10 songs. And now we started playing. So now it's like, oh, damn, we got to find time now to go in and record the other stuff.
That's one of the things we decided when we came back together is that nobody's doing like the stuff from the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
So maybe, who knows, maybe people listen and who knows, something might happen.
You're talking about like the whole sound and everything like
Yeah.
that. I talk about that with my dad often, how like, the classic rock era of like Led Zeppelin, Floyd, and like similarly with, the metal era, Slayer, stuff like that, those sounds are kind of dying, unfortunately. It's like,
Yeah, like
Even with Slayer,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and our type of music, I'll be honest with you, I've never heard it. We're original, and
we just played what came out.
yeah,
Right.
it's like we would make a song. It's like I've never heard. Sometimes I don't even think we're punk or hardcore. I mean it's all original. People have always told us, hey, we think you sound West Coast this or whatever, or this and this,
Right.
or it's like okay, cool. It's like I don't know what to classify it, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
Well,
because
you
it's
hear a lot
original.
of DC hardcore sound.
I mean, that's the closest thing I think you could probably say. Hardcore punk. I mean, and then it's like we've gone to shows, right? And we found other bands. What what do you guys play? Yeah, we play punk. And I hear them, and it's like, punk now is different from punk then.
There's a
Right.
very wide
Yeah.
spectrum
Yeah.
of what
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
labeled
Punk.
hardcore or punk. There's could be. I mean, I'm in a hard. I mean, like, you could say I'm in 4 hardcore bands,
Right.
but they're all different types,
Yeah.
styles
Yeah.
of hardcore.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Definitely
like to
different.
use metal as the
Yeah,
whole
metal,
kind of
yeah, well,
encompassing
yes,
term.
yep,
You
yep.
know, I think people, in my opinion, they get too deep into the
Too
subgenres.
labeled,
They're like,
yeah.
it's not this.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it's
right.
music.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
I've never to this day seen so many subgenres of what people
Yeah.
call post-punk, pre-punk, punk. I mean, what the?
I don't get
what
the
was all that.
Post-punk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
punk
I
is
don't.
punk.
I never got,
Yeah.
why they had to make so many different ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you could have all called rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We may have already talked about this. Do you remember what the last Fear of God show was in '87?
I think it was that show right here where we did the abortion. I think
Okay.
that was
The
1887.
Oddfellows Hall.
Oddfellows Hall. I think that might have been the last show.
It might have been. And that show, that's another story.
Yeah, that's another story.
Yeah, mushrooms.
Yeah, there was a lots of partying going on, and we didn't play till later.
yeah, yeah.
And my
What happens
girlfriend
when you
at the
go on
time
kinda near
said,
the end?
"Hey, after I did, okay, should I say how many? Pretty much
It's
everything
legal
you-
now in some states.
Everything you could mushroom, as many beers, fifths of whiskey, joints, maybe a sugar cube.
Yeah, you gotta think we're just like 19 or 20 years old.
And I'm
too.
young, and my girlfriend's like, "Hey, I need to go home now. You gotta take me home." It's on the other side of the city,
Oh, jeez.
and of course, she found me there, and then I'm like, "How do I get back?" I can't even remember how I made it back there, and
That's
I
why
come
we can't
running
remember the
up.
shows.
I remember my brother, "Brian, where the fuck have you been? Get up here, we're playing." I come running up, and somebody's actually sitting down on my drum set, getting ready to play, and we started playing, and I would like I don't smoke cigarettes, but hey, I'm not going to play anymore until someone gives me a cigarette. And then I start smoking the cigarette, and I'm playing, and the cigarette falls out of my mouth. And in the middle of the song, I stopped playing. I go pick it back up, and I started playing again. Things like that were happening. But then you look at the pictures, and they look like
Yeah, you can't tell.
you can't tell.
Right.
It looks like the best performance you ever put
Yeah,
on in your life. I had long hair, and I'm like, yeah, doing all these what I mean, and I'm like,
And it's great when
Wasted.
and it's great when everybody in your audience is all messed up too, so they can't tell. But I'll never forget that there was a show we played. It was at the Marble Bar, and I'll never forget that we actually have a recording of it too, because we used to, you put a boombox up, you record it that way. That's how you did things back in the day, and cassette tapes. I'll never forget we're playing in the middle of this. Next thing you know, we're all looking at each other.
Yeah, we're all lost.
We were all lost. We're like, what the fuck? Where do we play? And we're all looking at each other. It's like, then all of a sudden we decided to end it. It was like, Dad.
We all ended it perfectly.
We all ended it perfectly. Everybody went, ah! And we're like, they were laughing because we just fucked it all up,
Yeah.
But going back to that show, I said to myself, because I've got kind of embarrassed myself, that's the last time I'm ever going to play and do,
Yeah.
pretty much drugs.
Right.
I mean,
Heavy
that
drugs.
was it. Right?
Yeah, he was.
Heavy drugs.
I'll never forget when we're playing. He was like really slow, and our music's very fast. And he was like, "We're like, Brian, what the fuck?" And so you're trying to play. You got to slow down because of the drums. So everybody was trying to slow down to play at his speed. And that's that's the same. We actually have a recording of that show. The girl that got up on the stage, I'll never forget it. We actually have this recording to where she started. She was getting into it too.
Yeah.
She was drunk too. She's getting into it, and she's part of the stage owner, and she's choking him. And I'll never forget. I'm thinking, okay, they're just playing around. I'm playing. She's choking. He's like, wait, she's really choking me. You could actually hear it on the tape.
Oh my God.
So that was
She
yeah, it
even
was-
sang a little bit too.
And that night, that's the night they came and said, you owe us money. You broke some chairs. We're like, we didn't break shit. Other people broke chairs.
Damn.
So yeah, Oddfellows Hall, Director Theater. That was a big show then, and
Yeah, there's a lot of people there too.
a lot of people, and they said we owe them money, and I joined the army at that time. It was like,
So is that? So I kind of wanted to lead that into like what led to the hiatus in '87.
I don't know. I think we just had to. I had to get a job, I got a full-time job in the army. Joined the army,
Okay.
and we just didn't have the time to play. And we
Adult
just,
shit,
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
jobs and stuff, but like I said, I never stopped playing. I was,
Okay.
yeah, and then what happened was Brian and Steve kept playing. They created what was a Carnage right after that, right?
Yeah.
Created Carnage.
Doing like hardcore, deathcore type stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Um,
And then they did other with Ride with other bands with Brian and a friend of ours,
We-
Bob Williams,
yeah,
with Tugboat, and they all
Caustic
played.
Caustic Affliction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just young, it just I guess just faded away. I don't know. I even asked the bass player, the original bass player, why he left, and we got the other guy right there, and he didn't really give me an answer. He just I don't know why he left.
Yeah,
he
we
just,
can't remember.
Oh, Dave.
Yeah,
Dave.
life.
Well, he
I guess.
joined another band called Reptile House,
Yeah.
and just was going in. They were like a different direction, going in a different direction.
Right.
You know, I guess people, everybody's taste change. You know, their taste in music and everything.
Yeah, and then Chris was like, he loved us. He's like, man, I wouldn't be in fear of God. We're
Yeah,
like,
and they're
I
they're
remember
pretty
that
big.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reptile House.
Gotcha. So briefly, I want to talk about Tugboat. In '95 is when the Tugboat set sail, right? So kind of, I think you already talked about how you formed that. It was after Fear of God, and you had kind of known
Yeah.
each other already.
I
That
got-
was a little later. Yeah, I mean, I was like,
94, 95, we got together. I met Bob and Brian. Bob Williams is our singer. Used to be a trio. Tugboat was a project. It was a three-piece band. It was Brian on drum kit, and Bob Williams played bass and sang, and I played guitar.
Gotcha.
And it was a good project. It lasted for a little while. The scene was dying. This was like '96. The grunge scene was getting big. We were playing at How Daddy's in Baltimore in front of like 12 people.
Okay.
I think I got married that year. Bought my bike shop that same year. Scene was dying. I kind of like. It was great. We recorded one tape, and then we played a few shows, and then we moved on.
So it lasted about a year or two.
It lasted about
Well,
2 years.
we had
Years,
we
okay.
Tugboat. After he
Well,
left,
I
we had
left, and then all of a sudden,
another guitarist.
they went off.
Tim Krogan.
Yeah.
And I guess when we first started, it was more like a faster,
Speed metal.
speed
hardcore.
metal, thrash,
Yeah,
hardcore.
thrash band. Yeah.
And when the other guitarist joined, it was more like just slowed down to more like a street hardcore.
Okay.
And then we had several formations came back and did reunion shows with Tugboat. I think Steve, didn't you even do a reunion?
Yeah, I even
show?
played a show.
Yeah, he even learned the songs and
Gotcha.
So COVID came,
yeah.
and then I got a hold of Bob, and then I lost Brian's number for like 15, 20 years. Bob would never give me Brian's number. So finally, one day I got Brian's number. I called Brian. I said, "Let's practice. Let's play a couple tunes. I need to play some music again." I stopped playing for 20 years. I went to Brian's basement. Me, Bob, and Brian got together, and we brought it back. COVID, there was nothing else to do, so we played music.
And that's
and then
where we
yeah,
practice at
we
in my
practice at
house, in my
Brian's house,
basement.
yeah.
That's where all the bands.
every band in the
practice,
world
like-
comes out of Brian's basement.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's where a lot of
Yeah.
equipment goes to die.
So
It-
a cool
Might start putting price
cool
tags
basement.
on some of the
Yeah.
amplifiers.
So where did the inspiration for the name Tugboat come from? Did it come from did it come from the harbor, that sort of thing?
Actually, we were all. I mean, I've been a water boy my whole life. Grew up in Annapolis, but
Okay.
tugboat's nothing to do with boats. But
Not really.
But back in the day, I remember
Just-
we're mentioning like Tugboat. Like Tugboat's like more hardcore, raw power metal. So
Okay.
So Tugboat just fit. I mean,
We're,
Tugboat pushes and pulls more power than you can imagine.
Gotcha.
So Tugboat, it just fit. So
Okay.
we used it.
I was just like, it's hard to come up with a name for a band, and I was just how about Cinderblock?
He's
Brick. I looked at see a Tugboat.
Well-
How about Tugboat?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
he's a
great.
Tugboat in hardware. Look at
That
that.
sounds
Yeah.
great.
Just try to remember, if you're trying to think of a band name, hey, I got a great band name. Just Google it. It's probably already out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Guarantee it. Try to come up with something original.
Well,
man.
what I came up with one of the fourth band, the project come in. We can't think of a name for it, and I said something last night somebody said something, and I didn't write it down. Now I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
What was
It'll
that?
come to me. I'm the same way. You gotta write
There's
it
some
down.
And,
crazy band names out
yeah.
there,
Oh, yeah.
like Sanguisuga Bob, which is
yeah,
their
yeah.
newer band. Their
In some
fucking name.
bands, you listen to what they're called, and it's like then you listen to them, you would never know that they played that kind
Or
of
you can't
music.
like
Right.
You know,
their name of the band. You can't. What was that? You can't even.
It's just like
It doesn't even look
Oh,
like
yeah.
anything.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
What was that?
You gotta fucking look at the fine print.
Yes, yes.
or you write.
Now, I've been thinking about doing a logo for us like that.
You're playing
So you
your
can't
instrument.
read it.
Right.
Yeah, all the new metal bands, they got all the logos. You can't read it.
That sort of design's
it
kind of
is.
gotten popular because I think one designer brand at least did their name in that sort of font and stuff like that. I know rappers have been kind of
Oh yeah.
doing their names in that font.
Mhm.
So when and where did Tugboat play their first show? I don't remember if we talked about that.
First Tugboat show was probably we played an outdoor show. I
Yeah,
thought.
I can't even remember that
But
one.
we played a couple outdoor shows.
Okay.
But we played mostly we played at How Daddy's, which was the bartender from Hammerjacks. Hal used to have he was a bartender and he opened his own bar and across from the tunnel. I can't remember where it was. It was called How Daddy's.
It was
Okay.
right about a block or two from Patterson Park,
Okay.
Patterson Avenue.
And that's where all the metal shows were back in the mid '90s, early. I mean,
Then there was
Next Step Up, all those guys, Compression, all those bands would play there back in the day.
Gut Instinct.
Nice.
That Instinct.
But then there was a place. This is when our second guitarist came in. It was a place called the Brass Monkey,
Okay.
and it was near the harbor in Baltimore. And then there's a lot of there. It was a show. Yeah, I mean, Bob got stuck in the bathroom, and he smashes the door open, and it goes flying off the hinges. And smoke starts pouring out. He just walks out.
But yeah,
They had to go down the
Tugboat,
next day to fix the door.
There wasn't a whole lot of shows. Tugboat probably did about 4 or 5 shows.
And then the most recent, not the most recent show, but the recent first show back was at Cafe 611, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that was our first show back.
yeah.
It was,
That
it's all good. It was an awful show for us, but I mean,
Well,
it was it was the first thing for our singer Bob to get back into it, and he was unhealthy at first, and now he's a
yeah.
lot better. He bounced back totally.
We had a different bass player too.
So you're
That's
still
right,
trying to
bass
work
player.
things out.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
get back in the
That's
groove.
that's
Yeah,
why we
we'll
haven't
try
played
it.
many shows.
It-
The bass player,
Yeah, Roger.
Roger,
It was his first show with us.
and he was in a band called Images.
Yeah, it was great actually. I mean,
And-
we played the best we could. The sound was terrible at 611, but who cares? We played with Scissor Fist. Scissor Fist played with us, and
Scissor Fist and
I can't remember the name, but it doesn't matter. Scissor Fist, they
Yeah.
tore it up. You know, they played in front of 12 people. And the next show, they played in front of Cavalier Conspiracy in front of like 800 people.
Wow.
You know, that's how the shows are. Sometimes you play in front of 10 people. It's a band practice. Sometimes it's packed.
Yeah.
So you never know what's
Yeah.
going to be. You know, so.
Wanted to quickly talk about the Tugboat 96 demo that I've only seen photos of. This was recorded at Falling Sound Studio, right?
yeah,
I had to zoom in kind of on the fine
Yeah.
print on the album.
yeah, that was a really good production.
It was actually. It was great.
Yeah,
So
that
is
was
the
a-
studio or the people that ran that, are they still around?
That guy is. I can't remember the guy's name, but Mike from Oblivion Studios is real tight with that guy.
Oh, okay.
They all studied, I guess, studio work together.
And that's where y'all have done recent.
Yeah, that's
releases.
the last Tugboat
Yeah.
thing we just did was Oblivion Studios, which is
Yep.
Yeah, and
Really
Fear of God,
good.
Yeah, we'll probably go there again for Fear of God, I'm sure.
and
Yep.
Fear of God. We recorded that at Ryan Studios.
Gotcha.
Which is great. Yeah, they're great. It's a cool place. They're gonna have a venue. Orion Studios is supposed to start having shows there at the place. They have a theater. They have a stage. It's a very cool place for music.
So how many copies of this tape were out? Because I know the post that I saw on Instagram, it seemed like a
Yeah.
rare kind of thing to have
Yeah.
There's
still.
probably 100 copies made.
Okay.
If that. And they're all handwritten. I wrote them all down myself.
Yeah, I
He
saw
wrote all the
that.
lyrics, all the lyrics just here. He
Oh
wrote
yeah,
all the lyrics.
that's basically we
all
actually wrote
handwritten.
that and took clips out of something, pasted it, and then took
Yeah.
it to the 7-Eleven copier and made copies of it, and then
Wow.
cut them all out, and just totally old school.
Yeah.
Bought a bunch of cassette tape. You know.
So I don't have a copy of it, but Bob Williams has a couple, and my sisters, my family has some.
I have one copy.
My buddy says, I got it. I'm gonna give it to you for Christmas. He gave me my Tugboat tape for Christmas like 2 years ago. I was so excited, and I got it, and I went to play it, and he recorded something else on
Oh
it.
man.
Oh, my
You know what I mean? He didn't. We didn't have the tabs pushed on the top of the cassette.
Yeah.
Mm.
You can re-record over it. I said, "What the fuck?" It was like Iron Maiden or something. On it.
Oh
I said,
man.
"What are you doing?" He totally blew my buzz. Yeah, that's like crazy, but yeah, I don't have a copy of it.
So Tugboat and Fear of God, they both kind of ended at their earlier times for the same reasons, right? You just kind of
Everybody's doing something different. The scene was dying, whatever.
okay. So after both of the hiatuses, does anybody want to talk about like work experience and kind of just talk about what you were doing outside of the music once you kind of stepped off? I know you said you never stopped with the music,
never
but
stopped, and just working, paying bills, and playing music, having fun.
what kind of jobs did you have back in the day?
I used to drive a straight truck and just deliver beauty supplies, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, just then I started. I don't know, just all laborious jobs that give you a sciatica.
That shit hurts.
Yeah, it does. And I don't know what you guys do.
Well, I've been working at an electrical supply store for 30 some years. So
I was gonna say on the album cover, I had a note. You were wearing a Klein Tools T-shirt.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask like if you were part of any electrical trade or anything like that.
Yep.
Because I did electrical work for about a year, so I got a bunch of Klein tools in the back. So I saw that shirt, I was like, oh, I'll have to ask about that.
There you go.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I do overhead sprinkler systems now.
gotcha.
You know,
Okay.
I do that for the past 25 years,
Okay,
and hoping and dreaming that I don't have to do that anymore. Pretty much.
Yeah.
and then you said you were in the army, right?
Yeah, joined the army, did 20 years in the military.
Any interesting stories there?
Yeah. I mean, I ain't got much time for that, but
I
crazy
gotcha.
stuff. But I didn't get to go to combat and war or anything. I
Okay.
deployed, so but then after that, retired. And I work for the federal government now.
Okay. All right, now we'll talk about the Fear of God 2022 release. You said it's some of it's old stuff, some of it's new stuff.
Well, on the
Yeah, that's all old stuff, isn't it?
it's all old stuff on that
Okay.
CD.
But
yeah,
we're just a little bit better musicians now than we were back then.
Yeah, when I played back then, also it was like I was just learning how to play drums, and first show we played was the first time I played a whole full drum set, and I actually had my friends who were drummers. Hey, how do you do that? You know what I mean? I couldn't even keep a beat, and then as it went on, you know, starting getting better, and then like now it's like when I play now, it's like different than back then. It was more like a 1 2. Now it's more
There you go.
Thank you.
well,
all
like a
yours.
double bass thing.
Thank you.
know.
Yeah, like I said, these all these songs here are a CD we put out. They're all all original stuff that we played. Yeah, we played all these live back then. These were the 10 of these
So
songs.
what we'll do is this will be this will be the last major musical talk, and then we'll talk about pedal pushers. So what I like to do is I like to go through any lyrics that I can find online, and I like to pick out certain lines that I like, and then talk about the topics of those songs. So who was in charge of writing the lyrics? You said it was the old vocalist wrote most of the lyrics.
Yeah, I think yeah, he wrote a lot of them.
Okay.
On that CD, I
On that CD.
wrote one song, lyrics on one song.
He would
Okay.
he would give me like a poem most basically, and I would make him fit the song, and then that's
Yeah.
usually
I
how
do
it
like
works.
that you said poem because when I go and do these lyrical dissections, I am impressed a lot of the times when you read it all, you know, when it's written out, you're like, that is what it is most of the time. It's
Yeah.
poetry,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know, because I think people listen to the sound of metal music and they go, you know, people there's the whole devil music thing and
Oh,
whatnot,
yeah.
but people don't realize, like, you go and read the lyrics, it's like really deep, well written stuff a lot
Oh,
of the time.
like Black Sabbath.
yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty- good example of that.
And I think what people don't realize too is I think if you look at the words to our songs, they're really they're you. I'm trying to think of the words. It's there's a play on the words and everything, and you could they could mean different things
Right.
to whoever's listening to it.
So
And like Steve
Yeah,
said,
that's it. Yeah.
there's many different ways he would write like all these things down. And like Steve, I remember one time we wrote one song. We were sitting in my bedroom, and we just started one of these words. We started making riffs to it, and this don't fit. Sometimes we would dissect some other things he wrote, put them together, you know. Then we would actually start to practice it, and it would start to refine it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So we'll go through some of the lyrics I chose out. So from Death to Music, I chose the lyrics. We have two different lines that I chose. It's going down the drain. Music is nothing but a goddamn joke. It's been dead for a while. There's no excuse. It's going out of style. So is this about the hardcore? Oh no, that is not what I want to ask. One second.
I don't know what he was thinking.
So what is it about the hardcore scene that has changed for the worse over the years?
Well,
What's going out of
I think
style?
that was more about not the hardcore scene, but
That's
just
about the
music in
radio.
general. Yeah, the
Gotcha.
radio.
What
We were not a big fan
Music
of
is
like, popular
nothing but a
music.
goddamn joke. It's just 11. It's
corporate America.
yeah. It's about
Okay.
mainstream. It's about that. Death to Music was about the mainstream music that you're forced to listen to.
Yes.
Let's put it this way.
Gotcha.
We all know the lyrics of certain pop stars that are out there
Yeah.
that you don't listen to and you don't have the CDs, but you know it because you're forced to listen to it through mainstream radio.
The place I work at a warehouse. They are so bad with playing the fucking same songs
2 o'clock, that
over
song's on
and
again.
over. Yeah, it's like I will complain about it till the end of time.
Right.
That shit should be illegal to do. It's terrible.
And back then we couldn't get on the radio.
Right.
There was to this day, the radio stations were
Unless it
all
was a college radio.
yeah.
Right.
You don't hear bands like TSOL and Death Dead Canes and Fear God and Tugboat on any radio station. There's bands out there that are way better than the crap that's played through mainstream radio, and that's what Death to Music's about.
I gotcha. Do you think that it's gotten better at all?
No, on radio, mainstream, and hell no, no, it's the same.
I've noticed just watching bands like I've never like back in the day when I was into Slayer, I wasn't into bands like Journey.
Right.
Let's say, but now I have a better appreciation for bands I listen and I've noticed that like the songwriting was seemed more like soulful back in the day than now. It's just it's more just like cut up like just and not a lot of soul in it.
Yeah, I've heard that argument before. Like that you could like music was more raw.
Yeah, raw and emotion that put
Yeah.
into it. It's just
People have pointed that out. How like the editing process, it's just like you said. It makes it sound not as genuine, I guess.
yeah. And then
Commercial.
back then also bands were like everybody getting together and you're writing your own material. Where nowadays it's like I guess the it's more corporate. And we're going to, basically have a songwriter. That's why if you listen to the radio, mostly every song, no matter what it is, country, rock, pop, sounds like it's written by the same person.
Yeah.
Elton
Basically.
Or it's true.
And
They're all
Yeah, when you get into commercial music, a lot of these big commercial, singers, bands, whatever, a lot of them don't even write their own crap.
Nah.
It's all commercialized.
He looks cool. Let's get him singing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the worst.
And then the other line I chose was pay big bucks to watch idiots on stage. They're making a living off idiots like you who buy their albums and listen to them too. So is this referring to like bands and artists who are overcharging for concert tickets and stuff like that?
Yeah, it could be, and it's the same thing with the commercialized, the big bands, the big individuals up there or whatever. Not naming anybody, but it's just people in general who get up there and worship these
Right.
people up on stage. You see it now. They get up there and they worship them. Who are you worshiping?
Yeah. So what are y'all's thoughts on like? Because recently there's been headlines about like the Taylor Swift tickets and like Bruce Springsteen and what do you think about the people that are paying hundreds and thousands of dollars
yeah.
to go see these bands?
Like Kiss and that coming to Baltimore City, like front row is like $1,000.
Jeez,
I mean, if you
Yeah.
could afford to and want to, then go.
That's
go,
its own thing,
Go
yeah.
for it, But
Yeah, and these lyrics are look at that, still good today, written back in 1982 or whatever.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's like a famous video of Kurt Cobain and Nirvana where it's in '93 and they're talking about ticket prices, and I think they were like talking about Madonna charging like $50 at the time, which was a lot at the time, but
Yeah.
now it's like $50 for a
Yeah.
concert, that don't seem too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, fortunately for me, most of these bands that are charging that much, I don't go see anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
To tell you the truth.
Who do you think is more to blame for this kind of stuff? Is it the actual artists, or do you think it's more of like the promoters and the venue owners and
Probably
stuff?
the promoters and venue.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the ones setting it up,
Right.
Yeah.
and they're
Because
and,
really,
you know,
musicians make the money on tickets, on the shirt sales and stuff like that. They really don't make that a whole bunch of money on
Yeah.
albums and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if this was the reason that like the pedal pusher shows that I've seen they were like they're all been free, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So is that like a reason why you do the free shows, because you don't like?
We did it free at first just because I didn't know what to expect.
Well-
I didn't want to get shut down.
Right.
So we
I
did it
don't know
free.
the legality of
Last couple
having
times
to
we had a
charge.
show, I think we're charging $5 for the next show, but it's going to be like 5 bands, and it's going to be worth it.
Right.
If you don't have the money, you can still come in if you want to. That's where we are. I mean, fuck it.
yeah, and two, since we fear a guy coming back,
So
we can't sit there and say, hey, we're back. Here's $20. You got to come to our show. It's like we've got to build up. Most of all of our fans from back in the day, some of them have passed away.
Right.
Okay, so we've got to build up a new, fan base.
And plus, like, if the kids nowadays are like us, we really didn't have a whole bunch
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
So the kids, they come in, if they didn't have to pay at the door, they bought our T-shirt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
People
sold
in the
more T-shirts
hardcore
at them
scene.
shows.
Yeah. People in the scene are always pretty helpful too. So how would you say the concert experience has changed? You can either for the worse, or has it gotten better at all, the concert experience?
What do you mean?
I mean,
Big
more on a
concerts
big,
or-
more on a big level.
we're still the same kind of.
It's been a
Well,
while
I
since-
mean, it's more. I see more. It's like festivals, like where you
Yeah.
have 10 bands play, or
Right.
but now back then it was like the main band, like Kiss, and then the opening band.
Right,
That was it.
right.
Yeah, no, it's not 4 or 5 bands.
And
Yeah.
and that seems like to be local and big shows. Go to Jiffy Lube Live to see the Rockstar Energy drink. Let's just say,
Yeah.
and you're seeing like a lot of big bands, but there's like 3 stages.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. What
The
do
thing I hate about
I
that,
don't-
the band on the one stage will stop playing, and all of a sudden the band over there is playing. You're like,
Yeah.
man, come on, get a chance to at least
Yeah,
get
you
down
can
there.
almost never see every band. That
Yeah,
you
it's
want
like-
to.
Yeah. I was there one time at Jiffy Lube down in what was it, Virginia. What was the place? Can't remember. They had all these 3 different stages. They had the
Yep.
main stage, and you have the more of the local, lower, punk bands, hardcore bands, whatever playing. Then the main stage here. I remember we seen Motorhead, Slayer, Marilyn Manson on, on the same stage, the same night. So, like I said, it's more of a festival thing, but it was back in the day, you'd be like Kiss and an opening act, Motorhead and opening act, that was it,
Do you think that like buying tickets online and all that stuff? Do you think that that's done any good? Because a lot of people think that that's what's caused a lot of the shit lately with the prices and whatnot.
oh yeah, you
Just
don't
makes
have.
it easier.
Back in the day, you had to wait in line at the
Yeah.
at the
at the ticket center or somewhere.
Yeah, I
Or
remember.
at the the Capitol Center, wherever they're playing. You have to
Mhm.
actually wait and camp out.
And do you think that that made for more of a human experience than
Oh, yeah,
what we
oh, yeah,
experience
yeah.
nowadays?
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely.
you used to have to camp out for tickets and shit. I remember that.
Yep.
And now you
See,
buy them online, which
that's
is really
crazy.
convenient. But it's like a lot of things today is like it's a lot more convenient, but it's
Right.
Yeah, well,
taking the like when we were kids and all, we used to go on a family trip on the weekends to all the stores and buy, they go and buy their stuff, and then at the end they buy us like toys or whatever, and it was a family experience,
Right.
And nowadays it's like you just buy something, get on your phone, and which is
Yeah.
really great, I don't mind it, but
When you're
and then it
young.
comes to you
Yeah.
where like it's taken the whole experience and togetherness and
Just like
do things
Yeah,
like
when-
like back in the day we used to have to go outside
Yeah.
for entertainment and throw
Right.
a baseball or football around.
Like when I seen the dead
You know?
Kennedys, we wait in line for like an hour, and you get there, you get this ticket stub, and you tack it on your wall in your house. Now you get this piece of paper
Yeah.
came off your fax machine or something.
Now I think you got to pay extra to get
Yeah.
those paper tickets.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's got a cut.
it's like buying an
Well,
album.
everybody, once they're cut,
Back in the day, you buy an album, you fucking read the whole thing.
Yeah.
You all of a sudden you learn about the band.
and but,
You
yeah,
read the lyrics. And like Rain and Blood came out. I read the whole thing. I know every word on that album.
Now you
Yeah.
can just find
Yeah.
any lyrics to
Yeah.
any
right,
song.
yeah, right.
You know what I'm
Which,
saying? It's like you would read it, you would sit there and zone out. Whoa, this is cool. Pictures, and that's why all our Fear of God tape. I mean, the CD. It's got all kind of old school pictures. It's got pictures. It's got all lyric sheets.
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
old school.
and
So
well, I'd love to put something in you can fold out and have a poster.
Yeah, I used
know
to
what I mean?
love
Like-
getting those, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah.
yeah.
So the second track.
Or a double album, you can put all your pot in the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, never mind. That's a different story.
So the second track.
Arg.
Yeah,
Arg.
arg. I chose the line, "You're a dick, you're such a fool, I'll hit you now with my spikes and my chains." I wanted to talk about like the style choice of wearing spikes and chains, especially back in
That-
the day.
That was sort of like a metaphor. I never really, wore chains and.
I think
we're-
we're
we're
a high
pretty
school
much-
experience he was going through, probably.
I got
Yeah, that's the song I wrote the lyrics to.
Yeah.
And just you're a teenager and you're frustrated, and that's what came out.
You're
you know?
frustrated. You deal with your parents and everything. That's what that's about.
I got
Yep.
you.
You know.
I was gonna
And-
say I didn't know if there was any like stories about like having to bust out the chains on some
No.
fool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we wore any spikes, it was like a leather, metal, kind of heavy metal bracelet.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's
And
something like
We
that.
weren't into
Leather
bracelets.
jackets,
I wasn't into
um,
bracelets too much or anything like that. Just leather jackets. With,
Jeans,
Leather jackets and camouflage
maybe
pants.
some combat boots.
yeah.
I
But
got
yeah, that was more of like just a metaphor of like you're a punk rock kid.
A lot of the words are metaphors.
I gotcha. So just on that kind of note, is there any like crazy punk brawls from back in the day, or even recently? Any kind of fight stories?
Nope.
Nah, not really. I mean,
Other than I had to help escort or
oh well, yeah.
chief out 2 shows. Our old
Well,
bassist
it's
out of a
a
show.
lot to remember. Yeah, our lead singer, or deceased lead singer Scott. We there was a place we play now, the Fishhead Cantina that used to be called Elgert's, I think,
Elgert's Tavern.
and it was more of like a redneck type of bar
Right.
scene, and if you punk rocker, punk rock, and he did have a sitting in the back seat of a car and had somebody hit him with a golf club, I believe, through the
Yeah. I remember
window
that, yeah.
Damn.
and into his face.
Screwed up his nose.
Yeah,
Oh, fuck.
yeah. That's pretty much. Yeah, if there was any fights, it wasn't back then. It wasn't like people in the scene fighting each other. It
Right.
was more
yeah,
from
I've heard-
outside influence.
Yeah, I've heard like old school stories of like punk scene brawling with Nazis and shit like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
you know?
they didn't really come to Nazi punks. They didn't really come around too much, I guess.
Yeah, we weren't all involved
yeah.
with any
I
of
don't-
that.
I don't think.
That's good for them.
Yeah. I mean, if there was any, there'd be, like I said, the scene would police itself, and they'd be out.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
one of the things I kind
And
of
it-
like about the scene is that
and
you
I-
see that.
And I would, it would happen pretty much quick as soon as I come running up. Hey, you need any help? Nah, it's already done.
Yeah,
So,
I was driving down like near PA Ave where Ernie's place is, and there was just, let's say, a specific group of bikers parking their bikes, and I happened to notice one of them had that Nazi like lightning bolt shit on their helmet, and I was just like, ugh, great grinded. You know, I had to grind my teeth at that shit because like, you know, back then, and even further than that, you know, it was like it was still wrong, but more accepted. You know what I mean? It wasn't at nowadays it's like from the jump when you're a kid, people are teaching this is wrong. Respect everybody. But back then, I guess when it was all kind of starting, it was just more prevalent. But nowadays, I see that and I'm like, wow, you really got fucking a lot of nerve to wear that shit. Yeah, and issues. Yeah, I'm like, that's like Neanderthal thinking and shit.
Right.
I think of like the chimp model from like evolution. Like, okay, buddy, you're still way back there.
Right. Haven't evolved yet.
So track 3, aim to kill. I chose death is coming around the corner. It's coming after me. Come help me look for the sorcerer and help me make him bleed. I liked the sorcerer. I was wondering who or what is that referring to? Do you know?
I don't know. Scott wrote that one.
Yeah.
And
Towards the end of near the end of the band, he started writing about war and death and stuff like that.
I don't know where Aim to Kill really came from. A lot of songs we
He
can.
gets his own demons. He's asking someone to help him fight.
I gotcha.
More metaphor.
And this could also be like what your perspectives on these kind of lyrics are, And then one of the lines I chose, and it's kind of a saying. I've seen it on T-shirts and stuff. Peace through superior firepower. So I kind of wanted to get your opinions on when and why is violence sometimes the better answer.
It's more of a deterrent,
right,
than anything.
Yeah, I didn't write that one, but
Another Scott.
Plus, that was a popular saying back in the '80s.
Yeah.
So he just interpreted that into the song.
I gotcha.
and I mean, if you want to get a little farther,
Because it's peace through superior firepower. Survival's the name of the game.
Yeah.
like, no, once they invented the handgun, or once they invented the gun, it's all over with. You know what I mean? People are going to prove on it and prove on it and prove on it. Next thing we go, you got nuclear weapons.
I forget what the saying is, where it's like God made this, and then Smith, the guns made them equal or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, we don't want everybody to have like all these weapons where we can blow up the earth. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
But if you can take the Ukraine and the Russian thing, and it's like if Ukraine could have defended himself a little bit more, maybe they would have invaded and tried to take him back. That's like a lot of political stuff, but
Peace through superior firepower. Survival's the name of the game.
Yep.
Look real good, look real careful, and aim to kill. A lot of metaphorical stuff,
Yeah. Track 4, All God's Children. The lyrics on this one were like very biblical, like Revelations type biblical. I chose. There's several references to like the demon or the beast that rides the earth. I wanted to get your opinions. Like, where do y'all think that evil's present in our society?
greed.
Just watch the news.
all around.
My opinion is like greed.
Yeah.
Pure greed.
Yeah, greed, and I mean, there's, it's look at all the evil that's going around,
Yeah. There's like
Watch
never
the
any
news.
answers for it, unfortunately.
I mean, we're not we're not an anti-religious band, Fear of God. We have nothing, to do with that. We're not pro, anti, we're not nothing like that. So Fear of God's not a
And if you want to go
religious
back
band.
real far, when we were Jerry's kids, and first time I heard like, oh, the new name of the band's gonna be Fear of God, I'm like, why do you have to have God in the name of the band? I didn't want to kind of go there because because once you're going there, you're going there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you for God or are you against God?
That's a big thing. I know my mom, like when I was younger, she was cautious of that sort of stuff. Like if the band had like pentagrams on their T-shirts and stuff, she
Right.
didn't like me wearing that stuff, which I kind of get.
Yeah, and then
And even bad bands like Slayer with the pentagrams and all, they're not they're not antichrist, and they're not
Far from it.
yeah, they're not
Yeah.
they're not they're not evil devil worshippers. We've actually had, it was funny, I said, one of the Facebooks somebody made, but yeah, I remember them guys. I think they're devil worshippers or something like that. And like,
And-
I think
and I-
Chris came in and said, no, they're not. They're religious boys.
It's like the
Something
go-to
like that.
thing for
Yeah,
metal.
yeah,
People
yeah.
like to think
Yeah,
that it's devil shit.
And I listened to, you know, Merciful Fate, King Diamond, but then
Venom.
I like Living Sacrifice, which is a Christian,
Yeah.
you know, Living Sacrifice,
incredible.
right?
Those guys.
There was a Christian metal man, you know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
pretty unbiased to either. You know, well, I like music. I like the music, and
Exactly.
as long as you ain't singing about something like really fucked up,
Right, right,
You
yeah.
know?
So track 5, Blood's the Price. From the lyrics, I kind of got like that the song was about like sacrificial acts and whatnot. They showed me sights I never wanted to see. I never gave up, and now they want me. I picked that line because I feel like there's a lot of things, like whether it's conspiracies or just any kind of way of thinking. Once you start a way of thinking, it's hard to go back. So, kind of, what do you get from that line? All of you.
Oh, God, that's one of our newer songs,
Okay.
but it's an older song that Scott wrote like the first.
Well, he's not giving up on life, but
Yeah.
death wants him.
Right.
That's more because he was getting towards the end of his.
We believed, yeah, a lot of that. If you look at some of that stuff, he OD'd.
Okay.
Okay, back in 1996, and believe it or not, he was. I think he kind of accidentally killed himself. Because what happened was he was dealing with pain. There's a lot of back pain. He had an issue with his back. He ended up starting getting into pills and things like that, and
That's how a lot of people start, unfortunately.
heroin too. Yeah, trying to numb the pain. Not only numb the physical pain, but some of any sort of mental anguish. You know what I'm saying? Very talented man. Wrote very talented guy. And I'll never forget. One day he called me up and he's like, Wayne, I want to give you all this stuff. What are you talking about? He gave me all his. He was into superheroes, Batman specifically. He wanted to give me stuff. He wanted to give me his car. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? What are you doing, Scott? And we had a long talk, and I had to go away I was in the military. I had to go away for a course, and I'll never forget this. That was 2 weeks into this 9-week course. My wife calls me and said Scott's dead.
Mm.
He died, and that week we were going through training in the military, and they gave us a class. And one of the things that they taught us, because they're teaching about your soldiers, right?
Right.
Keeping an eye on what they do, things like that, because suicide's big in the military. And they taught us that when people are thinking about suicide, they want to give away all their possessions.
Yeah.
That's one of the things they do. They want to start giving away all their possessions. They start labeling things and their possessions and things like that. So I think I think he subconsciously.
Yeah.
Committed
Well, a lot of
suicide.
rappers and stuff, they play around with the shit that they say in their songs, talking about either, getting shot or all the drugs and stuff that they're doing. And a lot of people think that a lot of artists have manifested their death just kind of, and, not that this is the case for him, but just in general, a lot of people think that you can manifest, your death and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it comes from that, some blood's the price. What's the price? Your blood.
Yeah. We talked about Disturbing and Resisting, that song, a little bit. You said it was about getting shut down all the time from the cops.
Yeah, it's not an anti-cop song.
Okay, I had notes about that because there's a big sort of ACAB mentality in the punk scene.
There is a line in there that might be construed as that. I'm
Yeah.
not going to go into that. But
We're not
yeah,
against them. It's against them shutting us down.
we're,
Yeah.
We're against the bad ones.
it's
Basically.
Cop, bad cop.
it's about the
We're
it's about the
against
man.
bad ones,
And it's about, you see right now when you look at whether it's the Department of Justice, this and that, whatever, and people who are being arrested and charged with crimes and things like that they shouldn't, but and back in the day we'd be shut down. We'd be the cops would show up and here we are, we're trying to load our equipment in, and they're like, get out of here, you can't be hanging out here in the Marble Bar. And like, all right, we go to argue to the point that I'll never forget this. We're loading up the band stuff into the van right here. Move the car. You gotta move it.
Yeah.
blah blah, giving us a bunch of shit. We're like, what the hell, right? And we're teenagers and shit. So we would all just drive the van around the corner. He would just walk by. We park the van. We finish loading up.
Yeah, drive around the block,
Right
come
around the block.
load it up.
Yeah, so it's like it's about the man. It's about the man shutting it down.
I
It's about the
gotcha.
man. Period. You know what I'm saying?
I think the anti-cop thing can get a little bit. You know, people kind of don't think like rationally when it comes to that. You know, they don't think like realistically. You know, because there's a
Yeah,
time where
that's-
everyone might need one. you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, exactly. And you know, a lot of the police fund. Well, I don't know how much percentage wise, but police funding
Mm.
is some of that money is going to you
Yeah.
because when they're in a police chase, which one was in my neighborhood, and I came out the next morning, my car was smashed into.
Damn.
Right, and they left me a note, the police, on my windshield to give them a call and let them know, you know, they have the details of the car.
Right.
Because the person smashing my car ran off, and we ain't gonna chase him, and he's
Yeah.
gone. And they told me the next day they reported the car stolen and all this stuff, and I had to go through even though I still had to go through my insurance and I still had to pay like $250, and then I was told later, well, part of the police funding is so like when they're in a chase and there's all this damage is done, that's you can recoup that money,
Yep.
and that money goes to the public. A lot of that money.
Yeah.
You know, so if you cut police funding, you're kind of going to hurt yourself too
Right.
if an incident
right.
happens to you. You know.
Most definitely. Track 7. Heads I win, tails you die. Sometimes I wonder if it's really worth living in this rotten society of ours. Kind of back to like, where's there evil in our society? You know, what parts of society have gotten rotten over the years?
Yeah, yeah. That was Scott. He wrote that, and a lot of it was written by personal experiences or things we saw or he saw. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a song called "Riot in the City" that's not out yet, and he was driving down Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Baltimore City, and a riot broke out, and
Right.
sees the cops chasing. So he wrote a song called "Riot in the City." You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things were, experienced like that. Heads I win, tails you die. That's kind of like our love song. you know, read the lyrics.
Yeah. Induced vomiting. This song, it sounds like it's either about just partying too much, you
Yep.
know, whether it's overindulging or if it's withdrawal symptoms. I couldn't quite tell, but the line I chose was just so wasted I can't even think.
We used to play quarters back in the day, and I'd be so drunk. I'd be laying in back when we had practice down Beachfield Avenue in that couple's basement. Be so drunk out there, laying there, just throwing up.
Yeah.
They could have had a dog shit everywhere. I didn't know. Just laying there throwing up, so wasted, I can't even think.
Do y'all have any like other wild party stories from any period of time?
Most of them I can't remember.
That's just the problem.
You wake up and you black out. You wake up and you're like, "Where's my keys? Where's my wallet? Where's
Yeah.
my car?
And
What happened? How did I get home?"
that song's our audience participation song.
Okay.
Okay, so we get everybody in the audience to sing the chorus, "Enthuse vomiting," and everybody jumps in and does that. So there's been a couple shows where it's been a lot of people doing that.
Nice.
That's our new wedding song.
Yeah, it was played at a
It was
wedding.
actually played
Oh,
at
no
a coworker of mine. She just got married a month or so
Nice.
ago, and I was always joking with her, "Hey, we're Fear God. We're gonna play at your wedding." You know, she's in Florida though. You know,
Right.
so it's like, yeah. Next thing I know, she texted me. I said, "Hey, can you send me the song?" And so if you go on our Facebook site, there's an actual video of them, everybody dressed up, at a wedding, and the DJ's playing "Induced Vomiting," and
That's
they're
cool
and
as
they're
hell.
moshing to it a little bit.
And plus, it
Wow.
happens in general life. People get so wasted they just do stupid things.
Yeah.
So they're not
Oh
thinking.
yeah. Yeah.
That was a song that our second base, former bass player didn't want to do because he thought it was silly, and it's now it's become one of the songs everybody wants us to do. And hey, Induced vomiting, and it's a audience participation song.
Gotcha.
Glad we're doing it now.
Plus, if you came to the show, you'd understand. You'd see it like, wow,
Yeah,
that's
it's-
cool.
Yeah. Second to last song, "Live to Die." I got like existential crisis sort of vibes from the lyrics. One of them was, "I don't want to die in a nuclear war." It's like you said, a lot of war topics back then. I wanted to know, what do you guys think are the possibilities of a World War III or nuclear war happening in our lifetime? And, if we do reach nuclear status again, do you think that's just going to end the world at that point?
I think it'd be more Mad Max type thing. I don't think it'll end life, period.
Okay.
But that's just me. You never know.
Don't know.
I don't think it'll get to that point.
Okay.
I probably might be dead by that point.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully.
from what I understood
hope.
with the Cuban Missile Crisis, people were worried that, if Cuba sent theirs and we sent ours, basically it's like people think once one person pushes the button, everybody's going to be like, fuck it, push ours.
Might have to worry more about AI than.
I know. I keep getting ads for ChatGTP. I gotta tell Instagram, like, stop sending me these ads. I don't want no ads about AI, none of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, they got AI bands starting up now. There's
AI bands?
Yes,
What?
I can't remember the site. It's Metal something.
Wow.
And they've actually they've been experimenting with that the last few years, and what would come out would just be a bunch of like gibberish, like
Right.
which some of it would sound pretty decent.
AI can probably
like a deathcore band, pretty much.
I think AI could probably make like a new Metallica song
Yes,
that sounds like Hetfield.
And you
and
got
all
to check
them.
out the Orc Kings.
Okay.
It's a AI band, and they
shit.
actually it's like a power metal
Wow.
sort of sound, and they have their own video too. That's AI generated video
Jeez.
and song, and it's
It's getting crazy.
it's really good. Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
Yeah, are we really here right now?
And then I chose the other line, I don't want to be society's slave. So where do you think that this fits into y'all's lives? Do you feel like you are trying to avoid being a physical slave of like the workforce, or, mental slave?
it's too late for that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're a slave to everything. You're a slave to what you see on TV. You're a slave to what you hear. You're a slave to everything that you have to deal with taxes and
Yeah.
you
Your
know
appearance.
Yeah.
your appearance. You're a slave to all that.
Yeah, and it's like I said earlier, there's some things once you start to realize and look at, your mindset changes forever.
Yep. Exactly.
So, and then there was a line repeated, machine gun rattle inside my head. What do you think that was referring to?
Sounds like somebody that's been in a war, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think he's trying to fight his own demons, and he's hearing the demons talking.
Back and forth.
Yeah, so
thoughts
it's
and
like
stuff.
machine gun rattling, and it's like rattling in his head so much, and that's one of the later songs that we made before he died.
Yeah. Yeah. If the first songs were more punkish, were more kind of societal things, and they kind of got into more
And
like war songs. And the songs, they're not pro or anti. They're
Right.
just kind of like war.
Telling it.
Yeah. Just
commentary, sort of, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe he's using the war as a symbol of his problems, of his.
And that's the last song, is War Death.
Yeah.
So, I've got a job to do, and if I don't, they'll kill me too, is the lyrics that I chose from that. So what do you think are the bad parts about like the military and stuff like that?
Well, that was kind of like more of war death.
Just having to kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
And then be killed yourself.
yeah. It's like you're sent there. You've got to do what you've got to do,
Yeah.
and you've got your buddies there with you, and it's all about that. It's about your
He's probably
buddy.
talking about us in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a question here. Like, do y'all believe that we have actually been fighting for freedoms, or do you think it's all like most of these wars have just been some other kind of
Political.
yeah?
Depends where you're talking at.
Territory.
Like
war
Iraq
for
was
territory.
nothing about oil. Afghanistan was revenge. But it depends what you're talking about.
Vietnam was that was all political.
Yeah,
Right.
that's about stopping communism.
Yep. So Korean War political. They're all political. I mean, World War One happened because of an archbishop. Was it
Archduke.
The Archduke of
assassinated.
was assassinated. Next thing you know. But back in the day, then it's like you didn't have all the the contact you have now that's so easy with all the different countries. But
Right.
yeah, but war death isn't, pro anti. It's about you having to go to war, and you're there with your buddies, and you got to do what you got to do to survive.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on like the draft system? People that that were forced to go into the military, or people that just think that you have to. There's people that if they know you didn't serve your country at a certain period of time, they would think you're less of a man or something like that. There's people that I guess push
Well,
the military on people.
right. Yeah, I mean, well,
I think it's more like draft is different. If you draft, you just like the guy in Hamburger Hill said it. So you don't have to carry a gun or anything. You just got to show up.
Right.
No, but it's no fun.
Yeah.
Draft's long gone.
Oh,
For now,
so well, I
Well,
would
yeah,
maybe
they'll
too
probably
old
have
to
to
go.
draft now because people are afraid to do anything nowadays. You know what I'm saying? They're going to start fucking pulling Billy Bob out off the computer, sitting down in his basement. It's true. I mean, that's
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. A
it's
lot.
true. I mean, back in the day, when my age group, I mean, a lot of guys would join the army for education. I mean, that's what they're doing still.
Right for
Nowadays. But before that, it wasn't that. That was not what it was.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the
My brother was drafted.
men of those days are definitely different from the men
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
dad
I
was
mean-
drafted.
You what? Huh?
What's that?
What'd you say?
My dad was drafted.
Oh, your dad was drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we were young, we had to register for the draft, but we never got drafted.
Yeah, I was like in the borderline. I didn't had no draft for my age.
Yeah, do they still do that in high school now?
No.
yes, you still have to register for
I was
it.
gonna say I'm pretty sure I had to register.
Yeah, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
It's federal law. Trust me, for what I do in the military. I mean, in the government, you got to register for the draft.
All right. So War Death was the last song that we're gonna talk about. We already kind of talked about In the Blink of an Eye, which is the new Tugboat release. It was recorded at Oblivion Studios. Few of the songs are from the '96 demo, right?
Yeah.
So the only questions I really have about that is what made you keep the songs that you kept, and then what are some of the new songs about?
Well, the songs we kept were probably the more the better ones. We liked anyway, and
It's the core backbone of Tugboat.
core
I mean,
backbone of it, like fast.
Just it's hard to explain. Bob wrote all the lyrics. I mean, Brian and I wrote the music, and Bob would write
Bob.
the lyrics. And
Okay.
to this day, all the new stuff, we recorded that album. This past album back in this past beginning of the year. We didn't even know what the lyrics were going to be. Bob just shows up.
Yeah.
He had lyrics, and we had no
that's the
idea.
first time we literally heard the lyrics.
Bob, you
and
got
what
lyrics
they
for this?
were
Yeah, I'll be there.
in the
I'll bat 'em out.
studio.
So we're
And then when we were practicing, the PA I could hardly hear him sing anyway.
yeah, we couldn't understand. We had no
And
idea what he was
so-
saying.
We're like, wow, that
So-
sounds pretty good in the
so
studio.
Yeah.
he pulled it off, and
Yeah.
Bob's always been a good songwriter. I mean, lyrics and
Yep.
Bob's great.
All right. This is the last bit of stuff I want to talk about. Rod, this is where you're going to come in. I wanted to talk about pedal pushers for a little bit. What age did you learn how to ride a bike first?
I mean, probably like 5 years old or something. Yeah, 5 years old. There was no training wheels back in the day. Tires were flat. The treads were flat, so it gave you like some kind of stability.
Okay.
But then, everybody rode bikes when I was a kid. I mean, everybody bicycle was the key. That was your
Right.
freedom. That's all. It still is today. But
Or skateboard.
skateboards or bicycles. That's all. That's what there was.
So, like, what experiences when you were younger made riding bikes so important to you?
Well, you get out of the house. You could cross, get across town, go where you wanted to.
Right.
Yep, freedom.
But I was always into like the freestyle part of it, the dirt jumping and riding skate parks, Lansdowne skate park, stuff like that when I was a kid.
And how quite did you get into that? Was it just kind of showing up at a skate park one day and seeing it, or is it something you saw?
Early '80s, BMX was the thing. There was they had banana seat bikes, and BMX just came out. So everybody rode bikes. Everybody had a BMX bike in their basement. Either you stuck with it or you didn't.
Gotcha.
And I kind of like just followed through with it and went in the bike business.
Now, from what I understand, the bike shop opened in '89 as a repair and rental shop, right?
Yeah, it was a bike shop. We rented bikes and just fixed them, And I'm
Okay.
starting to have to sell them too.
So how did you learn to repair bikes to the point where you could open up your own store? Was it kind of learning over the years, or did you really like have to go out of your way to get to know a bike?
Well, first in '89, I started working at the bike shop for Frank. This guy Frank, who's my
Okay.
boss, and I was 19. Just just had too many jobs. I was playing in bands.
Looking for a cool job.
Yeah, bike shop was cool. It was like, well, this is cool, $6 an hour, but it was cool. It was like you're around happy people. Customers are bike riders. It's not like dirt bags. It's not, it's hard. There's dirt bags ride bikes too, but it's hard to explain. But
Imagine
it
$6
was-
an hour.
that's what I got. I started. I got paid $6. It was 1989. I was
Right.
getting paid by $8 an hour, maybe. So and that was a lot for back then.
Yeah. Now that I'm
People
thinking
wanted to go.
about
I'm
it,
gonna work UPS for $8 an hour. That was the big job to have back in the day. $8 an hour.
Gas was 99
Yeah.
cents.
When I was a kid, it was $3.35 minimum wage. And
Wow.
So I was getting $6 an hour. So that's cool. So I worked there, and then I ended up buying the shop. Well, learned how to work on bikes. I always worked on bikes. My dad was a mechanic. He worked for Westinghouse. He was a machinist,
Okay.
and we always worked on our own shit. We never went to the bike shop to get fixed. We had to fix our own stuff. So that's how I learned. And I worked for Frank, my old boss, at the bike shop in '89 and '95. Tugboat was playing, and I started playing music. Got back into music again. Started playing music, and got married that same year. Tugboat broke up. I bought the shop in '95, '96, and then stopped playing music for 20 years.
So the bike shop took a lot of your
Yeah,
focus.
bike shop. I had to do something, so I focused that. Bought the store and raised 2 kids. And my daughters, my kids are 23 and 21 now, and it's crazy. Time
So
flies.
did just working there over the years and whatnot, did you just develop a love for it? Is that what what led you to buy the store?
Well, there was an industry that I was into. I mean, I was a bike rider. It kind of sucks working your pleasure, but that's what it is. I mean, I still ride bikes all the time, and
Right.
it was just something. I just fell into it, and it worked out. Just I ended up owning a bike shop.
I gotcha.
So that's what it was.
Eventually, you went from just being a rental repair, you started to actually sell bikes and stuff like that.
We started selling. We had all the key brands over the years.
I'm assuming so many people kept coming up and asking if you sold bikes that you just kind of had to make that.
I mean, that era, the mountain bike boom kicked in. Mountain bikes was the new thing.
Okay.
So it blew up. So people started riding. And then the road bike boom kicked in. Lance Armstrong got big. Everybody, whoa, Tour de France. USA didn't even know what Tour de France was until Lance Armstrong. All of a sudden, Savannah Park has Tour de France parties. And what the hell's going on? And nobody knew what Tour de France was back in the day. So it evolved. So that was my business. I'm still there. Been here 35 years now. It's crazy. So, back to that, I'm tired of like the scene in Savannah Park back in the day. When I was a kid, Savannah Park was big. I mean, Fugazi, the Annapolis scene, DC scene would come out to Savannah Park and play shows. Savannah Park had like churches. They played at churches, Unitarian churches, Baldwin Halls, the YMCA. The YMCA is right up the street from my shop. So back in the 80s, all the bands would play. Shudder to Think, Fugazi, Marginal Man, all the cool bands from around here. And it was cool. And all the high school kids, we used to open up for all these guys, and the scene was big. So I said, let's do a show at the shop. And we decided to, and it worked out. And it's like, now all my buddies that have bands, all the bands around are like, can we play the next show? Can we get on that next bill? I said, so it'll work out. We'll see what we can do.
It's bringing music to
It's
that
bringing
area
music to Savannah
that
Park.
they
it's,
would have to go downtown or
Right.
it's
might
in
not make it
DC
that
or-
far. You know.
Annapolis is not a scene at all.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be. It used to be. I mean, we used to have shows all around there. So we're trying to bring that back, and there was a lot of cool bands back in the day. The Hated, they just played a show at the Early Heights Fire Department back in January. They charged $25 to get in. It was a 35-year reunion, and people paid. It was packed. It was awesome. We had a show that night. We couldn't make it, but we're trying to get a reunion show with them. Iron Christ was a hardcore band, which is this guy Ned Westrick that played bass in that band, which we play with. Ned plays in
he's
all our
a new-
bands too. So
Actually, he's a new bass player in
new-
Tugboat.
yeah, Ned's playing in
Nice.
Tugboat now, so it's like a full circle. Always
Yep.
we all like just
Yep.
and nowadays you're not cool unless you're in 2 or 3 bands.
Right.
Back in the day, I mean, you're playing what 2 bands? Brian plays in 4 bands. So I don't know how he remembers everything, but he does everything perfectly.
started out as one band.
So,
then
so
COVID
the
hit.
bike shop
Then
shows
now
we're trying to bring
I
it
don't
on.
know how that happened.
It'll be cool.
It's supposed to be the reverse.
It's been good, and we're going to keep doing it until we'll see how it goes.
Gotcha.
We have to buy a venue for Smyrna Park. I mean, we have to start something else.
Maybe we
Hell
can
yeah.
one day. We could do that. You know what I mean?
Who knows?
So,
Life's not over.
as
Start
someone
our own corporation.
Yeah.
as someone who runs like an outdoor bike shop, what are your thoughts on like Peloton, since that sort of thing is becoming more and more big?
Well, Peloton's like got people, like, especially during COVID, it was nothing. You couldn't do anything. So
Right.
like,
Doesn't anybody want to actually get outdoors anymore?
That's kind of what I was gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts
well,
on people?
you weren't allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
So people got
My-
people got exercise bikes. So
Yeah.
Peloton blew up. So we got busy from it because because Peloton you had to wear a certain shoe to ride their bikes.
I didn't know that.
Yet and we carry at bike shops carried it. So
Oh,
that Christmas, that holiday, we sold so many goddamn stupid shoes for Peloton. So
well, that's good though that you
So
were
that's good.
able to incorporate
so
their
we
business
got
into
something out of
yours.
it.
Nice.
Plus we fixed we do a lot of repairs on like all this kind of stuff too. But
Yeah. Would you push an outdoor bike though over an indoor one?
outside's freedom. You got to ride outside. I ride in the woods. I'm a mountain biker, and nothing better than ripping through the woods. It's like surfing through the woods. It's like great.
Nice.
It's freedom. That's all you got. That's all we got left.
What would you say is
So
probably
running
your
through the
worst bike injury, or like what's one of the worst biking injuries you've seen?
I've done lots of dumb stuff. But, my worst injury was probably from the '80s. We're a bunch of young kids, and we're riding downtown Annapolis just ride through Annapolis. We used to ride street ride and stuff. And I was riding a wheelie down Main Street down Annapolis. And when you ride a wheelie or riding manuals, wheelies or whatever you want to call it, sometimes if you lose it, you got to run out of it. You got to run.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're going too fast, you can't run. You can't run over 20 miles an hour. So I ate it. So
Oof.
flying, lost the wheelie, lost control, hit a telephone pole, and to this day, I'm getting ready to have my hip replaced because of that telephone pole.
Damn.
So I still rode back home that day, but that sucked. I mean, I should have went to the hospital and I was hard headed and everything. But that was probably the worst dumb accident I've ever had. Mountain biking, I've ridden, had crazy stuff, but never anything crazy like that.
That's nice.
Mountain biking, you should get hurt, but
Yeah.
I didn't.
I was riding my bike behind the health center,
Yeah.
that big ass hill behind the health center right there, and I thought I heard like a van behind me. So I'm riding downhill. I look for the van. I turn back around and my handlebars are fucking.
Yeah, you go off.
And then I was looking at it and I knew, I was like, I'm fucked. And then I fell off. I fucked up my arms. And then I had to walk it up the hill and home. That's what sucked.
So
Yeah.
shop shows and pedal pushers. So
Hell yeah.
reach out to us if you want shows. Reach out to me.
Now I
The
read,
place to be packed too.
I've seen pictures of you on Instagram and stuff riding some like antique bikes, like some unicycles and big wheel ass bikes. Kind of talk about riding some of those cool
That's
bikes.
a high wheeler. It's called. They're
Okay.
bone shakers, high wheelers. They're bikes from the 1800s. Big high wheeler, big front wheel, and a small wheel. So Smyrna Park is an old town. Smyrna Park is old school. My mom's family built it. So we have a parade every 4th of July. So we're gonna have a show with this coming up 4th of July. And I'll tell you about it later. But so we have a 4th of July parade. So my shop always sponsors it. We always ride weird bikes. Upside bikes out of Cat in the Hat. All the weird shit. Up triple deckers, double deckers, high wheelers, and up unicycles, and everybody just has fun in the parade. So this year we're gonna have a parade and a Smyrna Park parade in the shop, and afterwards we're gonna go back to the store and we're gonna have a show.
Hell yeah.
There's gonna be a show the 4th of July.
So people can bring any
Yeah.
kind of bike to ride, or is it?
Yeah, anybody can come. Just come if you want to get a hold of if you want to ride the parade, ride free with us, and just get a hold of me.
Hell yeah.
But this year we're gonna have a show at the shop. Fear God, Tugboat, all the local bands from Smyrna Park area. It's gonna be
Nice.
It's gonna be cool. So you'll hear about it.
So I was doing some reading. I saw that you were in the Capital Gazette and another like local Severna Park paper. So what was it kind of like getting?
Yeah, he knows all about it.
Yeah. What was it like to get interviewed by those papers and stuff?
That's cool. I mean, I was like Young Entrepreneur of the Year for state of Maryland.
Nice. I was gonna ask like what other kind of publications and public
I've
appearances.
been through a lot of cool things to do business. It's helped out. I mean, I never went to college, so it's cool. Just bought a bike shop and started working. You got to work.
Yeah.
I went to college. My whole family, none of us went to college. Everybody in my family has their own business.
That's cool.
Kinda weird.
That's
True.
like something
My
to be
sister's
proud
that
of,
way.
man.
That's true.
College
But,
is like
you know,
overrated in
whatever.
my opinion.
Yeah.
So when I went to
you know?
school,
Oh yeah.
all the college
Can you
kids,
give me a job?
all the college kids, went to school and they're all working at McDonald's. When they came home, I was always had a job. I had like 4 jobs, and so that's what we're. And I'm not ragging on going to schools. Both my kids are going
Right,
to college.
everybody's
My
got their own
daughter's, like,
path.
doing killer. So whatever. It's just
Some people aren't
I chose
meant
different
for it.
path. I'm old school. And
Nah,
always will be.
I, we couldn't afford it.
Yeah, my
And
parents-
that's another big part of it
Yeah.
too. I mean,
And just because you go to college, it doesn't mean you can't be an idiot or you're not gonna,
right.
you know.
Yeah, I was considering on like going to community college and whatnot, and the most recent time I went out to Colorado, I remember my cousin just not really saying it to me, just in general, about colleges. He was saying like, you shouldn't go if you're going because other people are making you feel like you have to go.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like if you know what you want to do and you just stick to it, like you don't need school or anybody. You just got to stick to what you want to do.
Yeah. You
It's all good. I mean, I incorporated my bike shop based around music.
Right.
You walk in my store, it's always something killer playing.
Nice.
People come in my store, they didn't even care about bikes. They wanted to hear what was playing that day.
Wow.
It's true.
That's
And,
cool.
I've always had music in my blood, and that's why I'm trying to bring the scene to our store and have shows and have fun.
Yeah, I
that's
read
all
for
about.
that. I read for a while that you were waiting for like a bike boom to come, and then around COVID, like we were talking about, is when
There it was.
that.
I always heard about the bike boom in the 70s, like the gas crisis they had in the 71. Everybody rode 10 speeds, they called them, because the gas prices were crazy. You couldn't get gas. So I always heard about the bike boom. Bike shops used to always talk about it. And then COVID kicked in, and all of a sudden, there's a bike boom.
So would you say that business and people's passion for it has been consistent since COVID restrictions lifted? Would you say that since they lifted it recently, has it been the same amount of traffic?
No, I'd say it's all in the bike industry. That's all we talk about now. It's like since COVID, how many people have you like? Did you lose your COVID customers? Because COVID, we gained probably at least 70% of people that didn't ride bikes.
Right.
I'm talking lots of people. So I'd say at least 35% of those people are still gung ho bike riders.
Okay.
That wouldn't be if it wasn't for COVID.
Gotcha.
I'd say at least half of them maybe are still. So we're busier. So usually wintertime the bike shop sucks, man. You just look out the window, listen to music, drink beer.
Right.
So nowadays we're still working on bike. People are fixing bikes in January and February, so it's been good. So it's helped out a lot.
Nice. I read that people were even buying bikes without even looking at them or sitting on them.
Yeah,
And you
that's
said you have to at least sit on it, is what you were quoted as saying. So, what are like essential tips that you have for someone who wants to build their own bike?
Well, you're talking about the COVID days. This is the worst. They'd call my phone at the shop. They'd be looking in my front door, looking through the window. They're afraid to come in the store.
Oh my God.
With their mask on and everything, which is fine. So I want that purple bike over in the back corner. I said, okay, you know what? Who's it for? Is it for you? He goes, yeah. I said, it's a girl's bike. I said, you have any here's my credit card. I said, okay, I'll sell it to you. But it's the worst thing in the world.
Sure thing.
Usually I want people to ride it, test ride it, and like see if they hate it or not. You gotta at least like it.
I gotcha.
But,
See,
it's all bullshit, and it was fake. There's 3 years of it was fakeness, but it's back to normal, and people are riding bikes. Fuck it, we're having fun with it.
I gotcha. What other kind of mistakes do you see people making when they buy a bike?
Bikes. I don't know. Some people just buy a bike just because their friend has one,
Right.
or their husband has one, or their wife has one. Doesn't mean they want to. Some people don't want to ride a bike. Some people don't like it, and it's uncomfortable. It's just the way it is. You can't make everybody happy, but usually if somebody comes in to buy a bike, if they're spending $500, $600, hopefully they stick with it.
Don't you think too? It's a big difference of somebody buying like a mountain bike as opposed to a regular.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Nowadays
that's a big difference there.
There's bikes for everything. So
Yeah.
there's a bike for every day of the week nowadays. It's not just a road bike or a mountain bike. It's so many in betweens. It's
Okay.
crazy.
What do you recommend so like me, I've always wanted a nicer bike, so I'll definitely be coming up eventually to kind of build a new bike. I'm probably leaning towards BMX build. Like, what do you recommend for someone like me? I'm not going to be hitting trails too heavy. I'll probably be riding streets and stuff more often, but I'm also not someone who is going to be doing crazy flips and tricks on the bike. So, like, what do you recommend as kind of a medium?
I mean, BMX is cool, but it's not practical. I mean, if you're going to ride skate parks and just ride around the neighborhood for a couple seconds, but mountain bike's the key. You just get a cool dirt jump mountain bike you can do everything with.
Okay.
You can get across, you can go to Annapolis and ride your bike or ride Baltimore City and get somewhere, cover ground, but still ride it in the skate park.
So it depends on what you want to
An
do.
all-terrain bike, mountain bike would be the best thing for you. But BMX is cool. I mean, they make big BMX bikes now. All those wheelie kids are riding the BMX bikes now. So
Yeah, I want to get a bike because, like I said, I've always wanted a nicer one, and also it's great exercise and stuff like that. So I'll probably just be riding around the neighborhood and
best thing
stuff
for
like
you.
that.
Cleans you out. Bikes are good for you. It's a legal buzz.
Hell yeah. That was pretty much it. If you guys just want to talk about any shows that are coming up, and then your plans for any like upcoming music.
Well,
Go ahead.
well, we got, depending on how many, we could put out 2 more CDs of music
Right.
with the old material, and we're going to starting to work on. And it probably that the new one will probably be less about war. Be more. It'd be probably more of the songs like "Government Sucks," "Nation in Decline," "Black Flag of Anarchy," "Fist Fight," "Riot in the City."
Okay.
Highways of
Stuff
Highways
that's
of Agony.
more accurate to the recent events, I guess.
Yeah, and that was, I guess, we weren't trying to make it that way, but I guess it happened that way. Yeah, it'd be more of a, I wouldn't say playful, but it'd be more of like, it ain't gonna be more about like, it ain't gonna be like that, like serious.
I get what you're saying.
You know,
There'll be the older songs with some newer songs we'll put on there. But
Yeah,
it won't be. There'll be a difference in the
Different
song.
tone.
Yeah.
probably a different tone, and then that's, and then we got our projects coming up too, with some new songs and Tugboat.
Yeah, and it's like we haven't had a chance to really doing all the shows, get a chance to practice the songs we want to do for the next CD.
That's another thing we plan like almost every weekend. So it's like I think we have a show where we're gonna play Friday and Saturday in a row.
Yeah, so the next show is going to be April 22nd, and that's going to be at the Fishhead Cantina in Halethorpe, Maryland. That's
Arbutus.
a punk show. Some other punk bands are going to be there. Then it's the 29th of April. We're playing at Richmond.
Okay.
So we're trying to branch out a little bit. We've been playing in Delaware, Richmond now, and we're playing. It's called the Sonar Fest. So it's a festival. It's an all weekend show down there. It's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're gonna be playing Saturday.
Gotcha.
April 22nd. Then May 3rd, Rod.
Yeah.
May 3rd. It's a Wednesday night.
Auto bar
We're playing the Auto Bar.
Hell yeah.
Downtown Baltimore.
with indictments,
Yep.
Hell yeah.
And then we got.
constituents.
I could go on. We go all the way into August. We got another show we're gonna be playing at Rod's.
Yep. Shop shows will be kicking
Yep.
through the summer.
Cool.
June.
Especially 4th July, July 4th, we're having a big
Yep.
shindig at the shop.
The
So.
very last question I had, because I want to give something for me and the younger heads to kind of go and look into. What are some local hardcore bands from Maryland from back in the 80s, 90s and stuff that are more obscure that, people like me should go look up and try and find? I know a lot of the stuff. No, just in general, just anything that, we can find to learn more about that era of hardcore. Because that's one of the reasons I got y'all on for this podcast. I want to learn and,
Ludachrist.
Yeah, Ludachrist.
Ludachrist.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites. That's like
Terrorizer.
you got Crumbsuckers.
Crumbsuckers.
Crumbsuckers, most definitely.
Okay.
Totally influenced me. Crumbsuckers, Ludachrist, Whiplash.
DRI.
Yeah, DRI. DRI's by far one of my favorite bands. Old Cryptic Slaughter.
Slapshot.
Yeah, Old Cryptic Slaughter, Slapshot, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Cool.
the band Joey Nail's band I'm in, we just opened up for Sheer Terror and Slapshot at
Nice.
the Metro Gallery.
That was awesome.
Hell yeah. Well, I want to thank y'all for coming on my podcast. I really
Yes,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Is there anything else y'all wanted to say?
Come to the shows.
Yeah.
Come to the shows.
Check them out on social media, all that. And
we got a
Here's
really
here's
got
a
a shirt
T-shirt
for you.
for you. One of Fear of God's T-shirts. I'll give
One
you.
of our
nice.
This T-shirt was a poster or flyer from 1987.
Hell yeah.
So we made it into a T-shirt. Our bassist actually drew it, and his signature's in there. I think he even says
Rhodes?
87. David Rhodes.
yeah,
yep.
Dave
Yep.
Rhodes. He's a really good artist. You probably
Yeah.
start to see some of his artwork in our CD.
Okay.
Yep.
Um,
You can have that.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. You're welcome.
All right.
CD's yours.
Appreciate that. Let me get.
All right, awesome.
All right. I'm gonna end it here.